hold on. If I'm beating my slave, Mike, I'm gonna leave marks on them. I'm gonna lose that slave, right?
What if you don't leave a mark? Is that okay?
I don't know.
Hey, what do you got?
Why do you think God is imaginary?
There's no evidence for it. Do you have any?
Right. Do you think that rationalism for some reason cannot be used?
Well, you can use rationalism, but there's no good logical arguments for God, especially not there being any evidence for God. You have
Right.
nothing for
So
God.
you just contradicted yourself.
Where's the contradiction?
Evidence itself would lie into the understanding of empiricism, not rationalism. And then when you say logical argument for
No,
God,
that it's a straw man. I never said that empirics is equivalent to rationalization. What I'm saying is you
you said
have
it
no
wouldn't be
logic,
logical because there's no good
you
evidence.
have no logic, and you have no evidence of God. You have nothing.
So so you don't think any of the arguments that Aquinas makes are logical?
They're all bad. Yeah.
Why so?
Well, because they're based on Aristotelian physics, which we now know is debunked with relativity.
How so?
The first way is debunked with the argument from modern physics. We have the second law
How
of
so from modern
dynamics. All
physics?
these things demonstrate that there was no first mover, that things in motion are always in motion, and everything in the universe is moving at a constant speed throughout the universe. In that sense, there is no absolute motion. Also, morality is not evidence for God. Morality is evidence that we evolved it in the brain. There's no good evidence for God. Do you have any good arguments?
Wait, so the first part I don't understand, the motion argument. Are you saying that what part of physics makes the understanding of motion a first motion or an uncaused motion? What part debunks that?
Relativity, because there is no first motion. Motion's relative.
Relative to objects or relative to
Other entities in this within space-time.
so if motion's relative to an object, right, then wait, I'm confused. Okay, how does that then disprove the uncaused motion? Because if
There
God
is
exists and that is the
because
uncaused
there is no
motion, it's relative to
motion.
himself.
Because motion is a relative term. There is no first motion that's possible. There's no like time doesn't pass, right? Like that's relative. Time is a relative phenomenon, just like motion.
Do you mean okay?
There
You're
is
saying
no like
relative isn't
chain of
contingent?
Hold on. There is no chain of dominoes where there's like a first thing moving the dominoes and they all fall down. No, that's not how that works. Motion is literally just curved geodesics intercepting each other in space-time. And this is what relativity shows us. Motion is not something absolute.
So are you just saying that it's contingent when you mean relative? Or are you saying that like it's dependent within something or within something?
No, do you know what relativity means?
No, that's what's confusing me is the term relative here.
Do you know Einstein's theory of relativity?
Vaguely, I have a vague understanding of it. If you might want to
We can tell. Yeah,
re-elaborate
we're
it.
not gonna. I'm not gonna. I don't feel like giving you an education or a lesson today.
Right, but the issue that I'm having is if you're saying that is relative to something, meaning which to me just sounds like you're saying it's contingent upon something. God himself being the uncaused thing, it is what is relative to. The first motion that causes other motions itself is contingent
Yeah,
upon
and
itself.
I'm trying to explain to you that motions are not
Hmm.
caused like dominoes. There is no such thing as a domino. There's causation, right? This idea of cause and effect. That's nonsense. There
Right,
is no
but
cause and effect.
okay,
We
so
know
then just
now
replace motion
that
with action.
no, you can't do that either, right?
Why
Again,
not?
because relativity shows us that motion is merely two
Wait, but I just said
objects in the
replace motion with
universe
action.
that
Think of it
have.
like if I move a cup.
Are you gonna let me speak?
Wait, I'm just confused on this thing that you're saying here.
Relax. You're so anxious.
I'm chilling, dog. I don't know what you
So
mean. I just don't
motion is
understand.
just two objects in the universe. By the way, everything in the universe is moving at the same speed. Did you know that?
Agreed. Yeah, I don't think that would mess with Aquinas' understanding, but okay.
You agree that no, this is detrimental to his argument because now we know that everything in the universe is moving at a constant speed, the speed of light.
Okay.
So what this means is that you can either see this as you can view time as merely a dimension, where all things have happened. The past and future have all happened. They all are simultaneously existing in one plane, in one four-dimensional space-time. And in this sense, there is no time doesn't pass. There's no passage of time from moment to moment or motion to or cause to cause. All things exist, just like all the space exists, all the time exists. And there was no first mover because there's no first moment in the universe. There is no first moment.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but doesn't that disrupt understandings of the A theory or B theory of time?
Yeah, it's called the A theory is nonsense. Now we know the B theory is more accurate.
Right, so if the B theory of time is the understanding that, right, so like 1942 is true, right? Like that's my best way of understanding it. A theory would say something like 1942 isn't true because it's not happening right now, whereas the B theory would say it was true because it has happened. But are you saying it's because it's currently happening right now?
No, what I'm saying is that there is a point, there is a coordinate in the universe which 1942 exists.
Right, so then 1942 leads into 1943 just as domino 1 hits domino 2.
No, well, I mean, the point is that there is no passage of time between moments. That only seems like that from our perspective, that there's a passage of time. But if you look at the universe from a larger perspective, all events are simultaneously existing.
But isn't time itself just a measurement of length?
Time is the measurement of motion or change. But
Right, so there has to be a distinguishing, as in moments themselves must be distinct of each other, and time is the indicator of that.
yeah, just like individual segments of space are distinct from each other, right? You can do the same with time. Time and space can be melded into one.
Yeah, so if we agree to that, how is it that like when domino 1 hits domino 2, which those dominoes are distinct of each other, they're just affecting each other, how is time not moving in that exact same manner?
Because I agree with you, there's two distinct time moments or time segments, but there's not the same as saying that they are passing. That's the difference here. You're
Okay.
assuming within your framework that time has motion, that time itself is moving. That's not what relativity shows us. Time itself isn't moving at all. That's only perceptual. And we know this because of Flickr fusion. We know that different animals perceive time differently than we do. We know that we can measure time dilation.
Mhm.
So we know that time itself isn't moving. It's just perceptual.
So time isn't moving, but time exists as a measurement of something that isn't moving?
Time exists as a measurement of things in different areas in the universe, just like space is a measurement of things in different coordinates of the universe.
So does that time have a point when it reaches zero?
No, we don't. That
Or
doesn't make any sense.
or like a beginning point? Does that time ever have a founding
It
beginning
doesn't
point?
need a beginning point. The universe could be infinite in time and space.
Infinite within time and space. That seems contradictory to me.
Where's the contradiction?
Off the basis that like if it just exists as a measurement, right? And we say that it doesn't have a beginning, how do we even measure? You can't measure anything in that case.
We can measure things in the universe that have different coordinates. We can measure things like, for example, the acceleration of things, which is just our movement through the universe, our geodesics intercepting with other geodesics within this framework. There's no passage of time. It's very difficult to understand or to speak about, but
Yeah, I see like the issue
time
of what we're running
itself is
to.
not a thing that passes or changes. It's really just our perception. That's why it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah, you're saying that time itself doesn't move like a stopwatch, where it's like you hit the start button. It's not like that.
Yeah, there
You're
is no,
saying,
yeah, time doesn't tick like a clock, right? That's just perceptual.
so then, oh gosh, that leads into a whole different area of what even is time.
Yeah, we don't know what time is. That's one of the biggest problems.
So then how
Question.
can we, yeah, that's a totally different, like, sorry. That's the issue that I'm coming to with it is like, if it's only perceptual, then it seems as if it's contingent, or like our basis understanding of it is completely contingent on us. Outside of that, I don't even know how
Well,
we
yeah,
substantiate something as time.
the passage of time would be an emergent property of the mind, but time itself would be a fundamental feature. Time itself could also be emergent of something else, like a quantum thing, but We have no idea about that. The point here is that what Aquinas was talking about is nonsense. It's hogwash. We now know that there is no talking about a first mover makes no sense because everything is in motion. Everything that is in motion always was in motion.
That's assuming if you're that's an assumption within and of itself.
No, it's something we can literally observe, right? Again, relativity demonstrates that. Everything that is in motion was always in motion and always will be in motion.
Is physics applicable to do physics itself break down the blocks at its new formation?
The what?
Do physics itself break down similar to blocks in a new
Physics doesn't have any ontological status.
would you say that if let's assume something like the multiverse, could the physics within another universe be completely different than within our universe?
Sure, conceptually, sure.
Okay, so if we can conceive of the idea, right, what I'm trying to argue is that if physics are therefore changeable, right, or at least conceivably something is changeable, who are we to hypothesize that before our conception of them, that they always existed by the exact same rules? If relativity is just a concept.
We never said that. What we're saying is that time could have always existed. The fabric of these universes could have always existed, right? The fundamental feature of these universes could have always been.
Right, but doesn't it just get us into an infinite regress?
Where?
Or I guess it's not an infinite regress because they're always there, I guess.
Right.
So then time is only a measurement by perception. Time itself always is. Sounds like, does the universe itself have a beginning, or is time contingent to the universe?
That's one of the biggest questions of science. We don't know if the universe as we know it has a beginning. It could go either way. There could be some kind of boundary to the universe, or perhaps it's infinite. We still don't know.
So then if we don't know and someone posits God, is that a logical posit?
Well, if your only definition of God is an entity who produces a universe, well, then of course God can exist under that definition.
Where does anyone else define God differently?
Is somebody who rose from the dead, walked on water, did all this nonsense, died for our sins. That is something I will never accept logically. There's no logic for that.
Wait, how so? That would be illogical.
Also, when it comes to God's omnipotence, right? All powerful, all knowing, all loving, these things are also illogical to me.
Depends how you define them. If you're only defining them as like the ability to do all, then of course you could just get into the omnipotence paradox. But like, at least the church has dealt with a lot of those, right?
No, there's.
If you just define all powerful as maximum power,
like the McGear. There's like the you ever heard of the McGear argument?
No, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, if you redefine omnipotence to be something that is the ability for an entity to do all logical possible things, well, now you've just reduced. Now you've simply reduced omnipotence to be anything that we can just describe any entity as omnipotent in this way. We can describe McEar, who's an entity who can only scratch their ear, and that's all that it can do. And it seems to be omnipotent under that definition as the ability to do all logical things, right? So omnipotence is a very shaky thing, especially with things like omnibenevolence and omniscience.
I feel like we're conflating terms here because I wouldn't say omnipotence is the idea of just doing all logically possible things. I think that is what God can do because he's logically consistent. But I would say more the idea of omnipotence is more power. If it's just all powerful, it's more power than anything ever within creation. Nothing within creation can ever be more powerful. That doesn't mean he can contradict his nature and do something like if God is all good, right? Doesn't mean he can do something that's all like all things. It just means the idea that nothing in the universe would ever be more powerful than him because he's outside.
Yeah, what does that mean? More powerful? Like you're just saying more. That's like saying more pineapple-y.
It's just think of it as maximal power instead of all power. All power is like the semantic way of understanding
maximal power? Like how did you determine what's maximal power?
So what is something that's really powerful in the universe? Just give me an example of something you define with power.
A car.
All right. So let's say we take the most powerful cars, right? all the most powerful cars in the world, they will never have more power than God. At least when it comes to an authoritative stance.
What do you mean more power than God? I don't. You're just begging the question there by saying God, right? We're talking
Authority.
about we're talking about what exactly is maximal power.
Hmm.
How do you determine what maximal power is? When we know
I think
that power is
authority
contingent
or
on matter is contingent on the ability for matter to do work, interact with other matter. So in that case, is God matter?
no, because not all power is
Great. So how
matter.
can something that doesn't have matter be powerful?
Oh, because it has authority.
What do you mean it has authority?
If I make a board game and I make the rules for the board game, do I have the authority over the board game?
Yeah, but you're succumbing to the same problem, right? It's something that has authority requires a mind or a brain.
Yeah, I would say God is the independent mind that creates the universe. That's all it exists as.
Yeah, and now what we're saying is,
A
well,
metaphysical mind. Yeah.
every mind I know of requires a brain. Does God have a brain, a physical
No,
brain?
because he's metaphysical.
Okay, yeah, great. So now you're again, you're question begging here again. You're
Wait,
saying, well,
you'd have
let's
to,
presuppose,
that's
let's
the
just
assumption you've
presuppose.
made.
Hold on. All you're doing here is you're just saying, let's presuppose there's some entity who has no mind, who has a mind, who's non-physical, who has power and authority. Okay, anybody can do that. A baby can do that.
Can
It
posit
doesn't
that or
do
be
anything.
that?
They have no evidence for that still, and we still don't know if it's coherent to even
The
talk about.
appeal to evidence doesn't necessarily make it illogical. I don't know why you keep doing that, because that's not my claim. You and I
No,
both know
not
no
only
one can
no.
ever
Again,
apply evidence for
you didn't
something like
listen
that.
to the last part I said. I said it's an incoherent thing to talk about,
Why is it
let alone
incoherent?
because we don't know of anything that in the universe that has power that is non-physical. We don't know what a
Right, because it
non-physical.
wouldn't be in the universe.
What's a non-physical then?
What's a non-physical? It's something that's metaphysical.
No, so a metaphysical thing is just a way of describing something that in the realms of physics or the realms of something beyond physics. I'm
Hmm.
asking you, what exactly is a non-physical entity? What exactly is
A
that?
spirit.
What's that?
What's a spirit? Spirit itself is just a nature.
What do you mean by nature?
Same way that we hold like a human nature or human essence. That's just all a spirit is.
Yeah, and again, everything we know about natures require a physical being to
Yeah, but
ground that.
this would be a supernatural nature. Nature
What's that?
itself,
What's the supernatural?
something that's outside of the bounds of natural phenomenon.
How did you discover that?
How do we discover stuff outside of natural phenomenon?
Yeah.
Logic and reason.
How did you use logic? What logical argument demonstrates that there's a supernatural?
The idea that the mind itself is not so like the mind, our human mind, right? Our human mind portrays something like a memory. A memory, though, as long as I dig through your brain, I'm never gonna find the actual image that you're portraying. I can see what's triggering it or firing it, but
Yes,
the
we
image
can.
is.
We
So
can
if you dig
find
through
it.
my brain enough, you'll find the image.
Yeah, we can actually take a look at fMRI machines and we can actually take a look at the
You can make the
specific.
image appear, but you can't
Oh,
find the image in my
hold
brain.
on. Yes, we can. We know exactly what the brain is doing when we take a look at machines that can see the brain. We can actually use AI to reconstruct images from your thoughts. This has already been done
Wait,
with
you're
no.
messing up. You reconstructing the image from the thought isn't in my brain. It is triggered by my brain and appears within my mind. That's the issue I'm having to you. When you make it appear upon a screen, right? You're still showing what's happening within my mind. But if you dig through my brain, you're not going to find the image. Like if you take my brain out
Yeah,
of my head
so this
and
is a
start
category
digging
error
through it.
because there is no what you mean by the image in the brain is merely a series of chemical reactions, impulses.
Hmm.
That's what you're seeing, and that's something we can see in the brain happening. So
Agreed.
when
That's
you
happening
think of
within the
hold
brain.
on, when you think of an image in your brain, there is no actual when you think of an elephant, there's no elephant in my mind. That's the what I'm seeing, what the elephant is composed of in my mind are those electrical impulses.
Yeah, this is just an argument
And
from
that's
different
something
schools
that
of
we
thoughts.
observe. It's a purely physical phenomenon in the mind.
Wait, you saying the image appearing, and then when we look at the brain, only able to see, like the fact that we don't actually see the elephant, the fact that we only see what's triggering it is my argument. There's a distinction between the image itself and what is happening in my brain. The image
When
is
you say,
appearing.
but when you say see the elephant, what you really mean to say is Can we see the electrochemical
No,
impulses?
I'm
Yes,
actually
we
talking about
can.
the elephant. No, 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 no. I'm talking
And
about
that
the
this is
elephant.
where your fallacy is. This
What
is
is
a
the
category
fallacy?
error. It is because you're assuming that there is some kind of like image that we see on computers going on in your brain. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I agree. It's not, that's not happening in my brain. It's happening within my mind. There's a distinction between the brain and the mind. Those are distinct of each other. A thought
No,
itself is a
I would
metaphysical
disagree.
aspect.
I think that the mind is emergent of the brain.
Wait, the mind being contingent on the brain doesn't necessarily, and being emergent to some degree, because I can kind of agree with you there, at least when we talk about physical beings like us, or people of a human nature. That's not my point. My point simply is, when I think about an elephant, I'm thinking about an image of an elephant, and we may be able to see what triggers it or what's causing it to exist, but the image itself is distinct from the triggers. That's my point.
It's not distinct. The image itself is composed of electrochemical impulses that we can observe.
Composed of it, but it itself is not those.
Yes, it is. The elephant you see in your mind is composed of electrochemical signals.
Composed of it, meaning as in
And
those things cause it.
if we really wanted to, we can redo the
Reconstruct the image. I
experiment.
agree with you.
If we really wanted to, we can recreate the brain and see it that way.
Wait,
So what's your point?
you're not disagreeing with me. That's not, or you are disagreeing with me, but that's not where my contention is. Saying that it's composed of these electrical things, right, doesn't mean that those things are then the elephant, right?
What?
A plastic bottle is made of plastic. That doesn't mean all plastic is not a plastic bottle. See what I mean?
What's your point? How is this
My
analogous?
point is, you're saying the electrical things are the image itself. And I'm saying, no, you can't substantiate that. They just cause the
Yes,
image
they
itself
are.
to
We
exist.
know that thoughts are a physical phenomenon. They're made of electrochemical impulses.
Wait, thoughts are caused by physical phenomena. Thoughts
No,
themselves are metaphysical.
thoughts are physical. Absolutely.
Thoughts are metaphysical.
No, thought this is where we disagree.
Yeah, I think
Thoughts
yeah, I see where we're
thoughts
disagreeing.
are we can measure thoughts by measuring the brain waves. The brain
Yeah,
waves are thoughts.
I agree. I don't, this is not, my contention itself is the,
So,
I
right.
see, okay, wait, no, I see where we're
So
disagreeing.
the things you're thinking of in your brain are merely electrochemical signals
So wait,
being
you're telling me you
changed
don't think
throughout your
there's any
neurons, your brain
distinction
cells.
between, you don't think there's any distinction between the mind and the brain? They exist as one entity, is what you're saying.
Well, the mind is what the brain does.
Okay. I my contingency is, I'm saying the brain itself is what transfers the thoughts as electrical like currents and chemicals. Yeah, like somebody said, can you touch thoughts? I can touch the electrical currents and chemicals that move throughout my brains. The thought itself, though, that's what I can't touch. That's
Yeah,
what it
and
makes
you're
saying it
making
exists as
this
metaphysical. There's a
the
distinction.
thought itself, you're making a distinction where there's no distinction need to be made. Thoughts are indeed electrochemical signals. That's it. There's nothing more to it.
I see where just like we might, but this is like where my argument would go down to, is I would say if the mind exists distinct of the brain, then the mind itself is contingent on another metaphysical thing, which I would say is the soul. If the soul is real, then
Yeah, we
I'd say
don't have to
God
go
can
there.
exist as spirit.
You're
Yeah, yeah, I
yapping.
know.
You're
The
yapping.
the
Let's get back. Let's get back to
wait,
square
wait,
one. Do you agree that it's possible that thoughts are physical?
no, I don't think that's true at all. I think they're metaphysical, 100%.
How is it impossible that thoughts are physical?
Wait, because all you're telling me is that we can track the electrical currents. We
No,
can't
no, no,
find
no,
the
no, no,
thought
no, no.
itself.
You
That's the issue
just
that we're bumping
no,
into.
no, no, no. You just said it's impossible
I did not say it's
that thoughts
impossible.
are
Or wait, did I say it's impossible for thoughts to be physical? Yeah, a thought itself is metaphysical. The
okay.
electrical current that transposes it is physical.
So why is it impossible that thoughts are physical?
Wait, because the thing that we see moving through our brain, the electrical current, if you want to say it holds the thought in some way, shape, or form, I'm fine with that. Or it's transferring the thought or the brain working and moving to expose or create a thought. That's not my issue. My contention is that electrical wave is not the thought itself. You're saying it is the thought itself. So that's just what we're disagreeing at.
Yeah, and when you say it's impossible that that's electrical wave isn't a thought, that has to be you have to show the contradiction. If you can't show the contradiction, it's possible.
Wait, because I'm saying the thought itself is the thing. The words that are happening in my brain when I say, I think I want ice cream today, are not the electrical current itself. They are distinct of each other. That's what I'm
It's
saying.
every emotion, everything you feel and think are electrochemical.
Yeah, they're
That you are
wait, they manifest as chemical reactions. I don't disagree
no,
with that.
it is synonymous with It is identical to those electrical
To feel
chemical.
sad or sadness in of itself as a concept or idea is distinct from the electrical chemical that's
No,
creating it.
this is where now you're going against neuroscience. Neuroscience demonstrates that feelings and thoughts are electrochemical phenomena in the brain.
Wait,
Nothing more
neuroscience
to
doesn't
it.
say that.
What?
Neuroscience says that the electrical chemicals are like they hold these emotions to some degree, but the
No, that
emotion
doesn't make
itself
any
is
sense.
distinct.
No,
Sadness is
no, see,
distinct
now
from
you're
this.
being dishonest. Now you're being
I'm
dishonest.
not being dishonest.
Because I can show you study after study demonstrating that thoughts are physical phenomenon that we know are electrochemical. We know that feelings,
Do you think if you dig through the
sadness,
electrical currents, you could pull the words out of the thought? Just yes or no question. Do you think if you dig through the electrical currents, you could pull the
words,
words out of the
this is
thought?
another, see, if you don't understand this, I can't debate you anymore, right? Please understand this. Oh, when we say I'm speaking words, what a word is just a combination of or a series of electrochemical impulses in our mind. That's what a concept is. Just a word. It's what an image. These are all composed of those impulses in the brain.
Right. So
So when you say, well, where's the word in my brain? It you're not. What do you mean that? That doesn't make any sense when you ask that question. Because in
that's
reality, a word is just those electrochemical impulses composed together.
so this is what I'm saying to you when we're disagreeing. I'm saying, yes, you're right when we talk in the aspect of the brain, but because I'm making a distinction between the brain and the mind, and you're not making
That's
that
not my
distinction.
fault. That's your fault. You're doing that
Wait, I'm saying you
for
have
no
to.
reason. You're doing it well for the reason because you want your God to be right, but you
I'm
have no
not doing it for
you
my
still.
God. I'm doing it for the fact that it's just evident. It's evident within
Where's your
human
evidence?
nature.
Where's your evidence that thoughts
Wait,
are
do you think it's
non-physical?
evident that when a person thinks of an elephant, they're seeing an elephant? Is that evident? Yes or no? It's a yes
Yeah.
or no question.
Now,
Okay, so
yeah.
yes, wait, if you agree that they're seeing an elephant, right? Is that elephant distinct from the electrical charges?
No, it's the same.
Okay,
When
so
I
that
think of
elephant
something,
itself only
when,
is an electrical charge. Why are you then not seeing the electrical charge?
because that's what the elephant is in your brain.
So you are seeing an electrical charge.
Yes.
Okay, so when you see the electrical charge, right?
Which is
Why?
identical to the elephant.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you see the electrical charge, why does the electrical charge then appear as an elephant, and not as the electrical charge it is?
Because of the configuration of those electrical charges.
Okay, so configuring of electrical charges doesn't make configuring of electrical charges. It makes an elephant.
Yes, a specific
All right, I just want to make sure I
configuration,
heard you
a
right. That a
certain
configuring of electrical
hold
charges
on.
don't make an electrical charge. It makes an elephant.
Yes, it does. A certain cascade, a certain network of neurons that fire in your brain are identical to the thoughts you're thinking in your mind. The elephant is composed of of that configuration of firings in your
So
brain.
then why am I
And
seeing
every
an
thought you
elephant?
have has a different configuration of firings. That's what memories are. That's what thoughts are. There's
Like
nothing
you
more
just
than that.
wait. All you're telling me right now when you say that is that what we are seeing is not really what we are seeing, and I'm saying what we are seeing is really what we're seeing. That's all you're saying.
That's so first of all, that's a complete straw man.
Okay,
What
how
we are
so?
seeing in our brains are the electrical charges.
Then we would see electrical charges, not an elephant.
We do. You
No,
do.
we see an
Yes,
elephant.
you do. You are seeing when you think of something in your mind, you're thinking what you're seeing are those electrical charges in the form of that elephant you think it is. You're
Right. So
just
that's
designating that charge as an elephant, or
what I'm
this
saying.
charge as number one, or this charge as number two.
Wait, so those are triggers for an image. Those all they do is configure and trigger into an image, right?
Yeah, they're synonymous with
Is
it.
the image distinct? That's all I'm asking.
No, they're identical.
Why is the image not distinct?
Because they're identical to the configuration of electrical charges. I don't know why
They're
this
the
is so hard
cause
for
of the
you.
configuration of it, dude. That's the whole premise, bro. They are the cause for it.
That's your
The electrical.
presupposition. You're asserting that.
Wait, yes, because the image itself isn't electrical charges. The idea that I'm seeing a
Yes, it is.
wait,
Yes, it
the
is. This is.
idea, bro.
You never heard of an fMRI? I take it.
I have heard of an fMRI.
Great. So
What's
you
the MRI?
recognize that we can literally observe the electrochemical things in the brain,
Yeah,
right?
I don't disagree with that. That's not
Great.
my point.
So why is it so hard to understand that the things you see in your brain are those electrical charges?
Wait, that's not what's hard to understand. What I'm saying is those things are indeed distinct from them. That's all it is. The image itself, whether made up of those electrical charges or not, is not those electrical charges. As in when I see an elephant, I
Why
don't see a bunch
not?
of
Why
because I
not? Why
don't see a
not?
bunch of
Why
electric
not? Why not?
because when I see the elephant, I don't see it being zapped to life.
Yes, you do. That's
Alright.
what an elephant is in your mind. It is your elephant is those charges in your mind, the electrical chemical charges.
Right, but
That's what every thought is in your mind.
okay. So what I'm saying to you is you don't actually see the electric things moving.
Yes, you do. That is what the thought is.
Oh my, okay, no.
That's what a memory is. That's what a thought is.
Do you when you close your eyes, right? And do you see like in Ghostbusters style, them zap one of the image being created, and zap two of the image being creating, and
No,
zap three of
sir.
the image?
That's
Okay, cool.
a
So that's all I'm saying.
this is an uncharitable strongman of what I'm saying. What I'm
Wait,
saying is that
wait, is the electric? Go ahead.
the
Sorry.
electrical charges in your brain happen very quickly. We're talking thousands per second,
Hmm.
right?
Don't
It
disagree.
doesn't happen. It's not like an old TV, just beep, beep. That's not what we're talking about, right? The brain is a very complex computer. It's not
Agreed.
like the 1950s thing. So recognize that there's what you're saying here is not an actual objection to what I'm saying. This is just demonstrating your ignorance on the topic.
Wait, all I'm saying is this. All I'm saying to you is this. The idea is that I'm seeing the image. The image itself is distinct from the electrical charges. You're saying it's not distinct,
That's your
and I'm saying
opinion. That's your
how it.
opinion.
That's not my
That is
opinion.
your
That's what
opinion that goes
metaphysics
against science.
says. This is basic metaphysics 101. I know because I know nothing of metaphysics, and this is all basic metaphysics.
Metaphysics
This is
is
rationalism at its
hogwash.
finest.
Metaphysics is baseless nonsense when it comes to philosophy. Philosophers don't
That's
know
what I'm
jack
saying.
about neuroscience, right? This is why you're confused. You're listening to some people like William Lane Craig and all these crazy
I think
apologists.
William Lane Craig's a heretic, but sure.
Okay, whatever. The point is, you're stuck in this philosophy garbage,
Hmm.
right? When you understand more about science, you recognize that, no, I'm not saying philosophy is useless, but what I'm saying is that you're confused because you don't understand the science.
Do you think science itself only appears to natural phenomenon?
Only what?
Only appeals to natural phenomenon. At least meaning it's contingent
Oh,
upon natural phenomenon.
I'm a meteorological naturalist. I don't know if I'm a methodological naturalist in the sense that all I know and all we can make sense of is something that is natural in terms of its physical makeup.
Right. So we agree then that science, even if you say that all that can be understood is nature, science itself is still contingent upon nature.
Science is merely a tool we use to describe nature.
Right. So what I mean is science itself is contingent upon it. The understanding
No,
of science,
science is not contingent upon nature. Science is just a tool we use to describe it.
no, mathematics is a tool used to describe nature. Science is contingent upon trying to understand nature. But that's a different
Math is a
point.
tool, just like science is, just like logic is. They're all
Mm,
descriptors.
kinda, I guess. Not really with science, but sure. Um, Science is uncovering natural philosophy, like uncovering natural nature. But like mathematics is how nature exists. That's where I'm like distincting. Um, math is not a part of science. Someone said that. That's wrong.
Yes,
Um,
it is. Science
no,
contains logic. Science contains philosophy. Science
no,
contains
science is
math.
dependent on all of those things. Science itself is dependent on logic and math and all that
Uh,
stuff.
I, I don't know about that, but I would say that it has a great deal to do with it. But I think that science is a large methodology that contains those things. But what's your point here, sir?
My whole point is if science itself is only like contingent on natural phenomenon, right? And metaphysics is something that exists outside of natural phenomenon. You could never just be like, oh, it's not scientifical, so therefore it's hogwash. That's just backwards pageantry, like awful
Well, the
logic.
problem is that you have yet to demonstrate that there's a non-physical, you know.
Right, because you're only appealing to empiricism. When I tell you,
Great, then show me that there's logic for something supernatural.
right, the issue then is that you're just going to keep making the appeal
To what?
to empiricism.
No, I'm not an empiricist. I'm willing to concede that
Do you
there could
think
be something beyond
do you think
science.
knowledge can only be known through evidence and through
No,
experience? Okay,
no.
so knowledge can be known outside of that. All right. So then when we say such thing like a mind, right? The issue is that you're already making the appeal that the mind itself is the brain, right? That's grounds one, which is why I'm
The
saying you're
mind is
appealing
what
to.
the brain does, to be more accurate, but okay, what's your point?
Yeah, I'm saying the mind and brain are distinct, and that's just like we're just butting heads there. But I can take the understanding of like that's probably something I'd have to substantiate better towards you, and I just probably wouldn't know how because it just seems evident to me.
It seems evident to you, and that's your evidence.
No, I just said I
Your
probably have to
logic?
do more ideas on it. I probably have to look into it more on the idea.
Okay.
So, do you think there's any evidence for the resurrection?
No,
Sorry, those are
sir.
random.
Nobody became a zombie. No, it never happened.
Okay, yeah, I think that's historically inaccurate, but
Okay. You think a guy walked on water and rose from the dead like a zombie?
yeah, I think the Gospels are historically reliable.
Even though they were, even though
I
they were
think Bart
written
Ehrman
decades
indirectly admits
after,
this.
even though they were written decades after Jesus died,
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily disrupt historical understandings of things.
even though there's multiple contradictions in the Gospels,
Like
and
what?
and most biblical scholars even concede that they're not reliable.
Like what? It's contradictions.
In Mark, it says that Mary did not tell anybody after she saw after she went to the tomb, and then in Matthew it says she did. It's a clear contradiction.
What do you think Craig has said about it?
All right, let's have the next guest in here. Ugh. It's funny how they want to speak about logic and then they believe in zombies. I'm logical. I'm a logical Christian, but I believe in walking people on water, and I believe in zombies and talking donkeys.
I have a question.
I have an answer. What do you got?
How come I see like I'm very confused. I see your
How old are you?
content
How old are
in
you?
like lives.
Okay, bye-bye. Go watch Barney. Go watch Barney. Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not actually against your argument that God is imaginary, but when you say, can you prove me wrong? I guess I don't know how you can prove that you're right.
When I say prove me wrong, what I mean is give me any data or evidence that demonstrates that there is a possibility of God.
What's going on, man? I'm turn on my camera.
Yep, what do you got?
Feel like talking to somebody face to face. So, wait, why don't you believe in God, though?
How old are you?
I'm 21.
What year were you born?
02.
All right, I don't believe in God because there's no evidence for it. Do you have any?
Honestly, I'm speaking of my experiences. What's it called? Ever since I've been putting my faith through God, like everything just started going right. You know what I mean? He been like a peace factor that I needed. You know what I'm saying? Growing up. Honestly, if you just like,
How about the people who believe in God and then things go worse for them? Does that mean God doesn't exist?
for the people that we all have something going bad for us, you know?
Oh, so now you've invoked something unfalsifiable where no matter what happens, God is still helping you, got your back. How do
Right.
you falsify this to make sure that God is actually helping you and not just you're making it up in your mind?
You can't just do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? You gotta read the word and actually do what he says. Then you know what I'm saying you could get some of the blessings that's going on. But like you gotta be open minded though. You know what I'm saying? You have to actually like
Right.
believe. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? If you don't believe, then you can't get none of the blessings that he's offering.
Great. So demonstrate that God blessed you.
I mean, I got a house to live in. I got some food. I got some wings. I'm about to bust down. Like, come on. I can't. I'm on the phone with
Okay.
you. I'm not getting.
Okay,
I'm not
great.
getting
And
shot at.
how do you know God gave you gave you a house?
What? What you mean?
How do you know that God gave you a house?
Because he gave me the ability to wake up, be able to
How do you,
move
how
my
do you know
hands
that?
and legs.
How do you
You know
know
what I'm
that?
saying?
How do you know that?
You letting me live another day.
How do you know that?
How don't you know that?
Because there's no evidence for it.
What evidence do you have that it ain't him?
That's like asking what evidence you have that there's no snuffleupagus.
That's what
It's a
I'm.
dumb question.
But you doing that to me though. So
The
it's like
burden of proof is on you because you're making the claim that God's helping you, right? That's your problem, not mine.
that's not a. How is that a problem? Wait, what? What are you talking about?
All right,
Look,
I can't.
no.
We need people that have higher IQs than room temperature. And it's cold out there. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, what do you got?
I got a lot, inshallah.
All
Shall
right,
I
have
move
a good
on?
day, sir. Enjoy.
Sorry, I'm leaving.
Gotta go right now, gotta go. The fact that you can see, smell, hear, and walk are all blessings. Okay. How about the people who can't see, who are blind, people who are deaf, people who are paraplegic? Where's God blessing them? Right? Like, just because things are going good for you doesn't mean God exists. Go up to somebody who is dying of cancer, who lost their limbs, who is blind, and tell them that God blessed them. You won't do it because you know you only believe because you feel good. You don't believe because there's evidence.
So I know you're doing debates right now, but I just wanted to quickly say that I love what you're doing, and especially your YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, please subscribe to the YouTube. I have all my debates on there. I have all my great content on there. Go subscribe, link in bio.
Hello.
Hey, what do you got?
Is truth objective or subjective?
Depends what kind of truth. Empirically speaking, it is going to be subjective, but logically speaking, analytically speaking, it could be objective. Yeah.
So would you say if I'm colorblind that you're perceiving the world more correctly?
No.
You would just say that we're both perceiving light in different perceptions, right?
Right. Yeah.
So couldn't that be some basis for some objective truth in reality?
Well, again, objective truth would be logical, right? Analytical in nature. So, like things like squares have four sides, right? That's analytical truth. So that would be objective.
But how,
when it-
real quick, no, don't want to cut you off, but how would we both reach that conclusion that we're not, like I'm not more right because I'm colorblind, or you're not? You know what I
I
mean?
don't know what you mean. What context would you be more right in? What do you mean?
Well, like, just because the majority isn't colorblind doesn't mean that they're seeing reality any more right than we, the
Yeah,
colorblind people, are.
and we never like that's why I explained to you before. When it comes to the empiricism, we never make objective claims about reality, especially in science. We never say that we're absolutely certain that the sky is blue. That is not what we say in science.
No, yeah, I don't
So
disagree
you're
with that.
appealing to something that is actually not our argument. You're strawmanning.
I don't know if that's, I don't know straw man enough for that, but wouldn't you say that, like, aren't you vegan?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you say that, like, you're morally more in the right because you're trying to not cause harm to things?
Yeah, but I can see that morality is subjective, right? I have a subjective framework, but within this framework, I think I'm more right than you. But that doesn't mean that objectively speaking, I'm appealing to some objectivity there. I'm saying
Well, I
that
would,
as far as I can know, as far as I can prefer and feel in my life, I'm morally superior to people who consume animal products. The point is that, again,
I
we,
can
we
definitely agree with that.
we never appeal to absolutes empirically.
I can agree that you're more morally in the right because you're a vegan. However, that's a bullet I would bite, and I would just say that
But this is
there.
irrelevant, right? This is irrelevant. What matters here is, what is the evidence for God?
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to prove. So like, bonobos have recently been stopping like grape assaults against the males in their tribes. So you could suggest that even in the animal kingdom, there's some objective truth like bodily autonomy.
Well, no, you're assuming that there's some kind of objective truth when it comes to morality. When just because we observe certain behaviors in different animals that are similar to ours morally, doesn't mean that there's objectivity there. All it means is that we share similar, physiology that goes into dictating our ethics. We are
I
much
guess
very similar to bonobos, almost identical to bonobos. So of course we're going to have similar ethics. And that's grounded in the fact that we have similar brain chemistry, brain structures, not
yeah.
because there's some objectivity there. And that would be your job to demonstrate that there are moral absolutes. I'm not saying that it can't happen. I mean, I'm a moral anti-realist in that sense, but if you can demonstrate that there's absolutes about reality, great. If not, what's your point?
Well, but we would compare each other like we always compare humans to like apes and primates and mice because they're more similar because they're mammals. Like I wouldn't compare you to a shark. You know what I mean? You're not a fish, so that wouldn't be a good comparison at all. That's why I'm trying to appeal with the bonobos.
I agree. But what's your point?
Wouldn't that be? I guess wouldn't that be an observable in our reality? That's an observable truth. That there are some things that animals in the animal kingdom, like mammals specifically, would stop, like grape.
Well, that would be only true in virtue of the fact that we have similar brain structures, right? Our brain structures are vastly different than fishes
I
and
agree. I
sharks.
agree. But
So
nothing
that
is
would
to say that
explain
they're.
that would hold some explanatory power in explaining why we're different ethically.
I agree, but there's nothing to say that those bonobos are meant to have like social hierarchies, which most mammals do. Like social hierarchies are common in most mammal kingdoms.
Yeah, it's because we have similar brain chemistry. All mammals have limbic systems in the brain, which goes into ethics, making ethics happen. What is your point?
Um, I guess if everything is subjective, don't you find yourself like how would we have ever gotten away from slavery?
Because when we enslave people and we listened to what they said about it, they felt bad, they didn't like it, and then
That's
when people
I
learn more
understand that,
about
but
when we learn more about this, our
real
morality
quick,
shifted to
I just
align
have
with people's preferences. That's how morality works, right? We evaluate the surroundings and we go, hey, how is this person feeling when I do this to him? Oh, he feels bad. Okay, let me not do that. Because why? I have empathy from the
but we
brain.
didn't view like other races as humans. We dehumanized them. That was the whole point. Like
Yeah,
what you're
and that
saying
was
to
out of
me is,
ignorance. That was out of ignorance, right? But as we learn more about
well,
each other, as we learned that they were not subhuman, we began to change.
again, that's where I would go to like the colorblind thing. Just because I'm seeing light in a different way doesn't mean that you're any less the same species as me. So like, I wouldn't say that you are like you would have to own somebody or be owned to understand that it's wrong.
Yeah, and that wrongness is merely a preference.
What? No way, you can't say that.
Yeah,
It's a preference to
do you know
not
what
want to be owned.
moral anti-realism is?
No, actually.
Yeah, we can tell. So there are basically two models that philosophers hold to when it comes to ethics, right? Moral realism and moral anti-realism. Moral realism is when people say that there are objective truths about morality. Moral anti-realism is denying this. They're saying, well, there are no truths about morality. but they're preference based, right? When I say something's wrong, all I'm really saying is that I prefer it not to happen. The same with slavery, the same with every ethical opinion we have.
Well,
They're all preference based.
then you could. How would you ever convince anybody of anything?
Evidence, data, facts.
Well, no, I prefer to eat you. I'm gonna cannibalize your ass.
Okay.
What?
Now
Prove
I
to me
never
that
said
that's
that there's
wrong.
I never said that there's a moral fact about that, right? I never said that there's that the oughts about morality are factual. You're really strawmanning my position here. You don't even know you don't even know what the moral anti-realist position is, and then you're strawmanning it, and you're trying to
Well,
attack it as if that you have some point here.
well,
I know
okay.
I concede morality is subjective. It doesn't hinder the fact or my ability to come to truths about reality based on evidence and empirics. Morality is not a fact. Morality is a preference-based thing.
I can't. I don't understand how I can wrap my head around that.
Well, that's not my problem. That's your problem.
Well, but then you're just defending slavery over and over.
No, did I ever defend slavery?
Well, but with your line of
No,
thinking,
no,
you will
no,
always say it's a
You, no,
preference
no,
to
no.
be
You said
owned.
something very peculiar. You said I just defended slavery. When did I ever do that?
Again, with
No,
your
when did I
subjective
say that?
experience,
When did I
with your
ever do that? When did I?
subjective
No, 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 no.
preference, you can prefer to be owned.
Stop. When did I defend slavery?
I'm not saying that you have. I'm just saying with your line
Yes,
of
you
thinking,
did, you
it's
dishonest.
subjectively possible.
Yes, you did. You're dishonest. You said I defended slavery.
Okay, subjectively possible. Is that better?
Great. So you agree that my preference is subjective and that's it. I don't defend slavery. Bingo.
Okay, well then how would you convince a slave owner to not do that?
I would make them
It's
understand that that person that they're affecting is being harmed. And if they
well, I
agree
don't care.
with
My
that
preference is to not do
hold
work.
on, hold on. If they agree with that ethical framework, if they agree that harming is bad, then they'll stop having slaves. I don't know why theists have such trouble in understanding ethics.
Oh, I'm not religious.
Okay. Well, I don't understand why it's so hard for people to comprehend ethics when, we recognize that it's purely preference based. You don't need any objectivity for ethics to hold.
So you wouldn't say that like bodily autonomy is a guaranteed right,
Yes, I do say it's a right.
and you wouldn't say that that's morally based?
Yes, it is.
Again, I just don't understand how you are getting there.
We just see, as a society, we've invented these laws and rights for each other, and that's how a right is how we want to live together, right? That's all rights are and laws are. You don't need anything beyond that.
I don't disagree with that, but again, shouldn't rights be
So
based off of morals?
why do we need objectivity?
Well, because I believe rights are based off of morals.
And if morals are subjective?
Well, but that's where we're having a disagreement.
Yeah, demonstrate to me that it is objectively wrong to own a slave. Go.
Human? Own a human?
Yeah. Demonstrate that it is beyond what anybody thinks. It's always wrong. There's a law of the universe that says it's wrong. Do it.
Just because you're not related to somebody doesn't give you any more right over them.
That's your opinion. That's your subjective opinion.
So you're saying that you have more of a right over my...
Go ahead, demonstrate. Go ahead, demonstrate objective morality.
I'm asking you, you're saying you have more of a right over me than me?
Okay, let me ask you this one more time. You're claiming that there are moral absolutes. I'm asking you for the last time to demonstrate that there are moral absolutes. Demonstrate to me that slavery is absolutely wrong. Go.
I can't under your framework of subjectivity.
Under your framework,
do that.
Do it under your framework now.
Under my framework of objectivity? So again, I would bring up like bonobos or other mammals in the animal kingdom. In reality, you can see that they won't grape each
That's
other.
just
They
their
won't.
preferences. That's just their preferences. Demonstrate that that's absolute.
It's very rare, like extremely it does happen
That doesn't mean
just
it's
because
absolute.
exceptions
That doesn't mean it's absolute.
happen.
That doesn't mean it's absolute.
I suppose so. I guess you got me there. But again, that's why we don't afford animals the same rights as people. That's why
Again,
cows aren't allowed to vote.
morality is preference. Preference. You only prefer not to treat cows like trash, but treat dogs like gold. That's your preference. Morality is only dictated by feelings, emotions, and things like that. It's not dictated by some absolute law.
No, okay, so I think I can agree with you that we should probably cause the least amount of harm to things.
We're not going to talk about veganism. We're going to talk about God.
Hey, how are you?
Great. What do you got?
About God and for you to say that it's imaginary. It's all depend on how you define God. Meaning, there are a lot of people that define
Okay, great. Then give me
I agree with you,
evidence,
and
sir.
it's imaginary.
Stop. Do you believe in God?
As I said, depend on how we are going to.
Please follow the YouTubes. Please subscribe for more debates and videos.
Hello?
Hey, what do you got?
Oh yeah, I believe in God.
Okay. What's your evidence?
Because I prayed, like, say for example, I prayed for a new car and I got a new car.
Okay. Can I do that? Will it work? God, give me a new car.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a new car in front of your
All right,
house tomorrow.
let me check the driveway.
Man,
Nope.
it take
Same
time though.
car still
Man,
there.
it
Same
take
car still
time.
there.
It take time though. He not a fairy. He not like a magician or something.
Oh yeah, he's not a genie, right? But he can give you a new car.
Yeah, he gave me a new car
How do you know that?
because I prayed and it was there the next day in my driveway. Who else put it right there? Who else put it right there? Nobody else.
Can you trace back the ID number, the VIN number?
Yeah,
Maybe somebody dropped it off. Maybe it's not even yours. How do you know it's yours?
bro. Because you wanna know how? Because it was spray painted and it said God.
How do you know it's yours?
Because somebody bought it for me and it was God. They wouldn't have bought it for me if
All
it
right.
weren't for God.
Yeah. Have a good day. My oh my. God can give us new cars, but he can't give people new legs or new arms.
Hello?
How old are you?
Sorry?
We can tell.
Yo, what's good, bro? Yo, so I got a question for you. I'm 19, by the way. Can you hear me?
Unfortunately.
What do you mean, unfortunately? See, you're rude to all your freaking people that join this live, bro. You're just doing it for clout, to be honest. That's really
Don't
all
cry.
you're doing, bro.
Don't cry, sir. It's okay. It'll be all right. Every little thing gonna be all right. It's a joke, guys. It's not serious. It's a joke. Hey, what do you got?
Hey, so I'm I'm just trying to understand for myself. I still haven't come to the final decision, but I would say that my argument would be that we don't have enough evidence to disprove that God is not real. So God, to me, answers the questions of,
Yeah, that's
you
not
know,
how
what.
this works, right? You don't just get to say, "Well, there's no proof that it's not real, so might as well believe it." Right? And if that's your case, if this is what you hold to, you can believe in anything, right? I can literally
Well,
believe in Santa Claus. Well, there's no proof that Santa's not real, so let's just believe in Santa Claus.
yeah, well, the science that you're working with today in this current timeline is not the same science we were working with, 200, 500, 1,000 years ago. So,
Yeah, because
yeah,
guess what? We learn shit and we grow in knowledge by experimenting more in the universe. Whereas religion or believing in God is never going to change, which is bad because now you'll always be wrong. Science will always improve, religion will always be wrong.
right. But the same goes for the science that will be here in 100 years from now, right? I mean, the brain
Science is
mapping,
a tool, sir. Science is a tool that we use to sharpen our understanding of the universe over time. It is never absolute. We never pretend as if we have some absolute knowledge in the universe. That's what religion does. Religion pretends to have absolutes, but
right. Well,
that's to the detriment of that method. Science is ever growing, ever improving, ever self-correcting itself. This way, it can be used to come to truth, whereas religion can't. You cannot extract truth from the Bible. It's a story.
right. But we're not talking about religion. It's just
Great.
we're
So what's
talking
your
about
evidence?
God.
So how do you know God exists?
So how do I know? So my argument that he exists solely is based on the fact that we have no answer for our own existence. So
This is an argument from ignorance. You're just saying, well, we don't know why we're here, therefore God. Why do we need a reason in the first place?
well, it's the same. I mean, we make those same. We come to those same conclusions in science when we're trying to figure out things that we don't have answers for. There's always going to be that
No,
X
we
factor of
never
we're not there
pretend.
yet. We don't
No,
have that enough information for that yet. So
we
there's
never
that
pretend. We
that
never
X.
pretend God, sir. We never pretend God did it in science. You're saying, I don't know why we're here, therefore God. When
Well,
literally, there doesn't need to be an explanation. And by the way, if you're going to say there has to be an explanation, what explains God? Why is God in existence?
well, I would say God. We're using the word God, but I would say God is that whatever that X value is. If you want to put it into a scientific, explanation, it would
Yeah,
be
this
that.
isn't God of the gaps. This is argument from ignorance. I don't know what X is, therefore it's God. That's all you're doing.
Well, I mean, there's plenty that you can't. I mean, even the word infinity is, something that we believe as a truth that we came up with through many years of science.
Keep tapping, guys. Keep tapping. Subscribe to the YouTube. See the next victim in here.
Hi. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah. So what about the evidence of things like giants, Noah's Ark that have been found in today's world that prove the stories of the Bible?
There's giants. You believe in
Yeah,
giants.
there's skeletons of giants that have been found in
Oh,
different
really?
areas
Okay,
of the
go
world.
ahead and give us one scientific source for that.
Okay, there was one in Peru.
Yeah, like what's the scientific source? I don't want a country.
Okay, I mean, we can skip past that. Okay, what about the fact that no one's actually been to the moon? And let's really talk about the fact that the video
Okay.
was Neil Armstrong on the moon. Why was the wind blowing? If, the imagination that we've been given of space, the wind shouldn't be blowing and the flag shouldn't be moving in the wind like that. And why has no one been to the moon since that first landing?
Yeah, so did you know that in space, there is something called gravity? And on the moon, the flag was holstered on
But
a
that's a
spring.
gust of wind.
And when the astronauts moved the flagpole, it was moving like this.
No, that's a gust of wind that would only make it
No, there
move.
was no wind.
Yeah,
ma'am.
only a gust of
The
wind could make
flag,
it
do you
move
know
at
the
that
flag was
minute.
made of
The
nylon?
video
Ma'am,
was
hold on,
fake.
listen. I know you're anxious. Hold on. The flag was made of nylon. Do you know what nylon is?
Yeah, I know what nylon
Okay,
is.
great. So it's not made of the fabric that we're used to. On the moon, it's made of something heavier, right? Because there's lots of radiation there. But the reason why it was seen to be moving was because an astronaut moved it just before it, and the flagpole was on a spring, which means that it's like this. And when you don't have air or any friction in it to stop it, it's going to keep doing that for a long time.
I
That's what
understand
happened on
what
the
you're
moon.
saying. I
Yeah.
understand.
Now we also have moon rocks, which means we have been to the moon. We have tons of documentation, photos, videos, and we have moon rocks. We can point lasers at the moon. We can look at the moon
All
with
right,
telescopes and
that
see the
that's
rovers,
all fine.
see
I
the
mean,
tracks, right? We
that's
can
all
look at
fine,
this
but you do understand
from
that science
telescopes.
constantly contradicts itself. So
I'll give you
nothing
an
that you're
example.
telling me. So you, for example, the Newton theory, that one contradicts itself. There's
How?
so many.
Where's the contradiction? Where's the contradiction in Newton's theory?
That it contradicts itself. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a science person, but I know that
We
it
can tell.
does.
We
And
can
there's
tell
so
you're
many
not a
other
science
theories.
person.
For example, you said before that science is constantly correcting itself, meaning that you can't actually rely on the science that we have today because in 100 years it could be corrected again. So all of this, like,
No,
science are
incorrect,
telling you
incorrect. So in
it's not
science,
incorrect.
what we do is we find the best approximate answer. Yes, you're damn right. We could be wrong, sure, but so could you. How do you solve that? You can't. Just because you think God did it doesn't mean you can't be wrong. You can absolutely
Okay.
be wrong about God, and you fucking are, and we can prove
I'm
it.
definitely
And
not.
more
I'm definitely
importantly,
not.
in science,
Okay.
all
Let's
we
talk
have is
about
the
the miraculous healing of
all we have in science is the best available data to go with. Okay, you have the worst data available. That's why you always will be wrong. Science will always improve. Okay, but more importantly, we have been to the moon. That's a fact. There are no giants. There was no flood. There was no Noah's Ark. That stuff is nonsense. There is no evidence of this garbage. And if you're going to come up here and say, "Well, the Bible says this," demonstrate it. How do you know that giants existed and all these things existed? If you're going to use the Bible, please don't say that. Give me actual evidence or go away.
like how could you
So is your mom. I don't care. Where's your evidence
yeah,
you got?
but Jesus is a person and there's so much references of Jesus not only in the Bible but also in historical text as well. So
I don't care about a guy who died on a stick. I care about a God. What's your evidence of God?
yeah, but Jesus is God in my religion.
Give us evidence. How do you know that?
Because there's so much miraculous healings that happens that science cannot explain, and if anything contradicts science. So
Just
how
because
could
you
you
can't,
explain
okay,
that?
no. Just because you can't explain something doesn't mean God did it.
Yes, it does.
Oh, really? Okay.
So according to your
2000,
science that
hold
apparently only can
on.
be improved and not disproved,
Ma'am, do you think
then
the
you
earth is
should have
flat?
an explanation for as to
Ma'am,
why some people are
ma'am.
miraculously healed. Yeah.
What's being miraculously healed?
People that are miraculously healed. There's people with Lazarus syndrome. There's people, which is basically people that die and come back to life. No one can actually explain that, but it doesn't
We
that go?
can, right? We
How
know
can you
that
explain?
the heart, even though the heart stops beating for minutes, the brain is still active,
Okay,
right?
but there's
That's
people
what
that have
explains
been
that.
dead for
The
over
brain is
30
still
years.
active for 10 minutes after your heart stops.
Yeah, but
This
there's
is
people who
why
have
it's
died for
possible
more
to
than 30 minutes.
revitalize your body.
But there's people who have died longer for 30 minutes and have still come back to life. And anyone who knows basic
What do you,
science,
okay, ma'am,
your organs will start to.
stop, relax. Take a
I'm just
breath.
talking. This is how I speak. If you have an issue with how I speak, then this is not for you
It's
because
not
you
how
need
you
to allow
speak,
people
ma'am.
to
You're
express
just
themselves.
yapping. You're just yapping
No,
and
I'm
saying
not
nothing.
yapping. I'm not
Right?
yapping.
You're just yapping. You're just
I'm
yapping
not
and saying
yapping.
nothing.
You just don't like when people.
No, you're not listening. Open your
And again, you just
ears.
muted me. Like, how is
Relax, and listen to me. So when it comes to things like 30 minutes, That is something we observe. We have documentation for this. We know that, yes, it's possible to bring somebody. It's not, by the way, they're not actually dead, right? They can be clinically dead, but it doesn't mean that they're actually dead. We can revitalize their heartbeat because their brains are still active. But there has been no cases throughout any history where somebody has been dead for like 3 hours, 5 hours, and then came back to life. That's never happened, let alone a resurrection. You have no evidence of a resurrection. You have no evidence of a God. Zero.
Yes. Okay, and
Zero.
there are people who have been dead, clinically dead for over 30 minutes, and being
It
clinically
doesn't
dead.
mean God exists. It doesn't mean God exists. It
Yes,
just
it
means
does
you don't
mean God
understand
exists, but
science.
it completely disproves all of your science. It completely
How?
disproves.
How does it disprove? How does it disprove
Because
science?
after a certain amount of time, science tells us that our organs start degenerating, and that's we can't come back.
What
We
time?
can't
What is that time?
I don't know what that time is. Do you know what that time is?
Oh, exactly. So you don't even know what the fucking contradiction is.
But you literally said
There
10
is no
minutes. So you
time.
should
There
you
is no
just said
fucking
10 minutes. So
time.
why did you just tell me 10 minutes? Stop
This
telling me
is
to
so
stop when I'm
embarrassing.
answering you.
Stop. There is no time that science says if you pass this mark, you shall not pass. No such thing.
So, but you're the one who just said
Everybody's
after 10 minutes.
bodies are different. Okay? Doctors could also be incorrect or wrong or mistaken about if they died or not. You are vastly overestimating your ability to understand what's happening around you. Recognize that you're infallible. That not only are you infallible, but other doctors are infallible, meaning that there could be errors, mistakes, miscalculations that you have not accounted for. That's the problem with what you're doing. You're using your ignorance as an argument for God, which is a fallacy. And yes, I mean fallible, not infallible. The point is,
Can we
we are
explain?
fallible. We are
Okay,
fallible
so why has
beings,
no one gone to the
especially
moon?
you.
Why has no one gone to the moon since? Since we got there, since science tells us that the flag is able to wave around in the wind like that.
Because do you know how much it costs to go? Hold on, man. Do you know how much it costs to go to the moon?
Yeah, but
How
to
much?
be honest,
How much did it cost?
with
How
the
much
way
did it cost to go to the moon?
the way Elon
Ma'am?
Musk and all these people
Ma'am,
pumping
ma'am,
money into other
ma'am,
things,
ma'am,
why
ma'am,
hasn't no one been to the? No, because I'm actually speaking. I'm actually speaking.
Man, please, you have to listen. This is why you're so ignorant, because you keep yapping and you never open your ears. Your mouth is open for so long. Why? I mean, how much did the moon missions cost? Tell me.
People can afford it. If you
No,
really wanted to get to the moon, that is something that will completely transform. Elon Musk wants.
How much did the moon missions cost? How much did they cost?
We gone back to the moon since.
I'm
Elon
answering your
wants to
question.
go to Mars.
I'm answering your question,
He wants to
man.
go to
How much?
Mars. Why can't we conquer
Fine. Here's the answer. The reason why we haven't been back to the moon is several. Number one, it's too fucking expensive. It costed hundreds of billions of US dollars to go to the moon. It is not cheap to go to the moon. There is also no motive to go to the moon. The war with Russia stopped. The Soviet Union, the space race ended. The Russians gave up. And when we came back to Earth, there was no reason to go back.
Mankind gave up on finding.
There is nothing to do there. We got what we needed. We've done the scientific research. We got what we needed. We've defeated the Soviet Union. There is no motive to go back and spend hundreds of billions of dollars going back. That would be a waste of money. But we are going back now because guess what? It's getting cheaper and cheaper to go to the moon, and we now want to build a colony. Now there's a motive, and it's getting cheaper. That's why today we're going back. But the reason why we went to the moon in the first place is because there was a motive. There was a war we were fighting. Again, in 1960s, it was like the peak of the Cold War, where Soviet Union was about to nuke us. We were fighting to see who could get to space. So of course we had a motive to go there. We wanted to defeat the Russians and make them look shitty. And we did. That's why we went to the moon. Not because we wanted to explore, but because of the war. The war went over, we no longer have to go back. Now, let's get the next victim, because this is embarrassing. Okay.
Bah! Bah!
Oh, similar IQs. The last guest. Let's see here. Best argument ever for God. We're not doing that.
Okay. I agree with you. The only question I have is,
Please subscribe to YouTube. Link in bio. Please subscribe. All my debates up there. All my content.
Hello?
Hey, what do you
Hello?
got?
Hey, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess the first thing we have to do is define God. So what do you define God as?
That's your job, not mine. And God's imaginary. It's ill-defined to me.
You're saying God is imaginary, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So you are saying that. So what do you're obviously, you're saying this because you have a definition of God. So what are your
No,
definition?
because there is no definition that works. That's why. No definition I've heard of
What
works.
No, but you're saying God is imaginary. So what do you mean by God?
What I mean by God is an entity that people claim exists outside of space and time and all this nonsense. That's why to me it seems not real, because it makes no sense to me what people's definitions are. I'm going off of your definitions.
Or other people's definitions, yeah. So an entity that's outside of space and time.
That's one definition I've heard of, which makes no sense.
So I guess we have to go back to the beginning, Does something come from nothing, or can something come from nothing? Can something come from nothing?
What does nothing mean? Nothing is not
absolutely nothing. Nothing means like absolutely no thing, not even potentiality.
How do you imagine that when everything you imagine is something?
You can't. So that's what I'm saying. So can something come from nothing?
If
I'm
you
asking
can't imagine it, if you can't imagine it,
So the answer is,
conceive it, hold on, sir. If you can't conceive of it, we can't think it's coherent. We can't know if it's coherent or not.
So the answer is, would it be no? Something cannot come from nothing.
No, that's not the answer, sir. Nothing is not a coherent thing. It's not a coherent concept. That's the problem.
Okay.
Nothingness, that means nothing. That's like saying blah, blah, blah. It's just a word. It doesn't mean anything.
So there is something. So was something always eternal, or did it have a beginning?
It's possible, sir. Yeah, it's possible.
Right. So what would be more likely, that something had a beginning or something is eternal?
Why does it matter?
Because this is the stepping stones to why God. Well, maybe I'll but what I should do first? I should probably define God first. Okay. Oh, hello, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Wait, hold on.
No problem, sir. We'll wait till you get out of McDonald's.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. So I would say God is inexorable law. God is the sexless, unconditioned, undivided. You can say omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient mind, which is, you can just say consciousness. Now, matter is the image of a mental process. So the fundamental essence of reality is mental, and matter is the image of mind thinking. So the one thing that we know for sure is that we experience, correct? Everything else is a theory. Yes?
Sir, do you have evidence for your magic god that died on a stick for no reason?
I didn't say that at all. Did I say there's a god, a magic god that died on a stick? I didn't say those words. That's
Okay,
not my.
great. So
I just told you my belief of what God is.
Where's your evidence for this omniscient mind?
I'm telling you. I'm asking you a question. I'm doing the Socratic method. I'm getting you there. So I'm saying something has always been there because something. This is what I'm saying. Something cannot come from nothing. There's no such thing as nothing. It's a contradiction to say that something can come from nothing. But anyways,
no. Let me clear this up for you. When you say something can't come from nothing, that statement is incoherent.
Cannot.
Not because nothing doesn't exist, or not because nothing exists and something can't come from it, but because nothing itself is an incoherent concept.
Right. So something cannot come from nothing. Right?
No.
You're not understanding it. No, I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. So you're not getting what I'm saying. But
I am. When you say something can't come from nothing, that's like saying something can't come from Snuffleupagus. It doesn't mean anything. Something can't come from Jabba Jabba. That's what you're doing when you say nothing. Nothing is akin to just making up a random word. Jabalaba, boobalaba, boobababa, right? Nothing. So when you say something can't come from nothing, you're saying something can't come from babalabala. It doesn't make any sense. The statement itself makes no sense. So it's not that you're right and that something can come from nothing. Got him. That's not even correct. It's not a coherent statement to make. So go ahead, demonstrate that your God exists. Give me evidence. Give me evidence.
Yeah. So something is eternal. Something never began. It will never end. Now, either that's matter or consciousness. Yes?
That's a false dichotomy. Why are those the only two options?
Well, tell me another option.
We don't know. That's the point. We don't know all the possible options.
So I'm only going by what we know.
No, you're not. You're going.
There's matter and consciousness.
You're going based on what you don't know. You're saying,
no. There's
we don't
matter
know
and
anything.
consciousness.
Let me just say it's either this or this. No, there's other possible things that are out there that we don't know yet, right?
No,
so you can't say those are the only two options.
No, listen. What do we know right now?
God, this is terrible.
No, what do we know right now? We know that there's matter and we know that there's consciousness. Yes.
Consciousness is an emergent property of matter.
How do you know that?
Because consciousness, as neuroscience demonstrates, seems to be a part of the brain, a process that the brain does. The reticular formation, the brain.
Neuroscience doesn't claim that at all.
Yes, it does, sir. There's tons of evidence and studies that demonstrate. Can you just quiet for a second? Okay. So we know that the brainstem has a lot to do with consciousness, the reticular formation, the brainstem. These are parts of the brain that we know are linked, at least, to consciousness.
Correlation doesn't equal causation.
It hints to it, though.
But it doesn't equal it.
Hints to causation.
But it doesn't equal it.
With enough evidence of correlation, there is causation.
Neuroscience does not say they understand. That's why it's called the hard problem of consciousness. Do you not know about this?
That's not a scientific problem. The hard problem of consciousness is not a scientific thing. That's a philosophical thing.
Right. And
Scientifically speaking, no scientists say, well, we don't know consciousness. No, neuroscience is about learning what consciousness is. And we literally have good ideas about it.
no idea why it creates consciousness. Yeah.
Yes, we
But
do. That is such a terrible, dumb thing to say. We
then
know,
why
we
does the hard
know
problem of consciousness exist?
it doesn't.
It doesn't exist. That's not
It
a hard
doesn't
problem.
exist. There's no problem.
There's no, that
problem.
doesn't exist. There's no problem. Okay.
Yeah, there's no problem because we know that the brain has a lot to do with consciousness. There's no problem.
So the hard problem of consciousness doesn't exist in science or philosophy. It does exist in philosophy, right?
It doesn't exist in science.
Now,
It does not exist in
science.
science.
Allow me to say this: science studies the behavior of nature, correct?
Yeah. Can you give us the evidence of God now?
No, I am. So science studies the behavior of nature, not that which behaves. So science, you can't answer the question of God with science. Science doesn't answer that question.
What method are you using?
Faith? No, you can use that you can use that method.
Great. Then what method are you using? Then what's your method?
Yeah, but what I'm saying, you're using rationality. You're using you're using.
Okay. You're using God's irrational.
No, you're using the thinking process. You're reducing it, and you're explaining everything in terms of one thing. You have a theory of why everything is.
No, I don't. Stop being dishonest.
That's what I'm doing.
Answer the question: how do you know God exists?
Well, starting from first principles, how do I know that consciousness, basically mind, is God, and there's just one mind going on?
No, I did not ask you to just preach your garbage. I asked you for evidence that God exists. How do you know God's there?
Right. I gave you my definition of God, the one universal mind,
and it failed miserably.
No, it didn't fail miserably.
Okay, what is omnipotence
mean?
What does omnipotence mean? What does omniscience mean? What does a non-physical mind mean?
So, omnipotent means having all the power that exists. So God doesn't have all the power to do whatever he wants. Okay, God didn't create himself. God is at some point he can't.
What does it mean to have all power that exists? God controls everything I do. Has power over me.
No. I wouldn't even say God is metacognitive. God could be purely instinctual.
Does God have power over me?
No, God doesn't. Is not aware. Like you are not a separate thing than God. You're a dissociative aspect of God.
You said that God has all power that exists, which means it follows from
exactly.
that. Stop. Listen. You said that God has all power that exists. And from that, it follows that God has power over everything I do. God controls me.
No, because if that power doesn't exist, he doesn't have the power to do that.
So God doesn't have the power. So God doesn't have the power. Doesn't have all power.
No, all power that exists.
Oh, so God doesn't have all power that exists. He doesn't have my power.
All that exists. If something doesn't exist, like
he doesn't have my power.
If God can't break the laws of the universe, so you can say like the universe of gravity.
That doesn't make it. I never said that. I never said God can break the laws of logic. What I'm saying is,
or the universe.
Do you agree? Okay. Do you agree that I have power?
Sure. In certain limitations.
I have power, right?
In limitations, you're limited power. Same with God. Yeah.
Does God have all power?
That exists. No, he's not all powerful. I think you're confusing it. All powerful with all the power. He can't do anything he wants.
This is precisely the problem with when you invoke these omnipotence things, these omni definitions. They don't make any sense.
How does that make sense? Omnipotent means all the power that exists. I gave you the definition.
Then God controls everything, including me.
No, but if the power doesn't exist, God is limited to what he can do. God can't create another God. God can't create other than himself, let's say. And also, I believe that this is not a created world. This is a creating world.
Why not? What's illogical about creating another God?
Because you can just say that power doesn't exist in reality.
Why not?
That's just what it is. See, at some point,
See,
why not? Yeah, exactly.
this is
See,
the
you
problem.
can't.
You're
No, you
just
can't
you're
keep. No,
just
listen,
you're just
listen.
making up these definitions as you go.
No, listen. You can't keep on explaining things in terms of another forever in an infinite regress. At some point, you reach the bottom and just say, "This is what it is," and then have no cause.
Yeah, and that could be the universe itself. No God required.
Exactly. So
No God.
why does
Don't
gravity
say
exist?
exactly. You dishonest person.
No,
The
that's exactly what I'm
universe.
talking about. The universe itself. Why does it exist? You
No,
can just say, "Well, why?
that's not the
Why is
same
there
thing,
laws of
sir.
gravity?"
Sir, please listen. The universe can exist infinitely as matter, energy, and space and time. There does not need to be a God or a mind or anything beyond the universe. And asking the question, why do we exist? That's a dumb question. That's like asking,
That's not what I asked
why
at
does
all.
God exist? It's a
That's not
stupid
what I.
question.
That's not what I asked.
Great.
You,
So then do you
I,
concede? So then do you concede that there's not have to be a reason why we exist?
no, there's no reason for God to exist. God didn't create himself. He had no choice in
Great.
the
So
matter.
there's no reason. So we do not need a reason for existing.
No, there's no reason for it.
Great. Okay, great. So then stop saying that there has to be a reason why we exist.
I never said that. I just told you there's no reason for it.
So then do you agree that the universe can exist infinitely without God?
Well, my definition of matter can, if matter is the image of a mental process, because what you're saying is
Stop
that
asserting
matter.
shit. Stop asserting shit.
You just said matter. You just said matter creates consciousness. That's a definitive fact from you, yeah?
No,
Matter.
nothing creates consciousness. Consciousness
Nothing
is an
creates consciousness.
emergent property of matter. That's what I
So,
said. And that's
so
evidenced by neuroscience that you reject. Just because you
okay,
reject it doesn't mean it's false.
you know what? This is going to be interesting. I want you, because I messaged you, and I want you to show me the evidence that neuroscience shows that they know consciousness is an emergent property of matter. That'd be fantastic, because I think
Sure.
that's
Here's a
what.
study called Consciousness in the Brainstem. It's by Josef Parvizi, and it demonstrates that it says that core consciousness is conceived as the image relationship of the interaction between an object and the change organism state it causes. We discuss functional neuroanatomy of nuclei in the brainstem reticular formation because they constitute the basic set of somatosensing structures necessary for core consciousness to emerge. Right there. You want the study?
Yeah, you got to send me that.
Sure. Consciousness in the brainstem. It's in the science journals.
You got to send me that, and I gotta read that.
I'll send you it. I'll send you it.
Do it, yeah.
So now do you concede that there's evidence for what I'm saying? And there's
No, I haven't
evidence
looked
for
at
what
it.
you're saying?
I haven't looked at that evidence. That's why I want to look at it.
We can tell. Okay. And if you haven't looked at the evidence, you can't be part of this debate. Fiji water over everything. Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube link in bio. I'm just sick of the dishonesty here. When people say that consciousness has to be from God, right? That's dishonest. Their thought process is so muddied by this God narrative. They're not even willing to look at the evidence with an honest mind. They're not willing to even. They just reject it outright. And then when we give them evidence, they're like, "Oh well, I guess I'll look at it." Right? That's the problem. The arrogance. Religion brings arrogance. You're obscenely arrogant. You're
Hello, good afternoon. Good morning.
Bye-bye. Good night. Good night.
Howdy. How are you? Okay, so I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words. 8 words in the prompt. God is imaginary.
Okay,
Can you
sir,
prove
we
me
can
wrong?
read, sir. We can all read. Go ahead and give
Well,
us the evidence of God now.
I could prove you wrong because the evidence is right in front of me in these 3 letters, the first 3 letters. So I'm looking at something real. And that's it. I just proved you wrong.
So
I'm
you
reading
think
it right here.
so you
God is
think God
real.
is a word?
Well, is a word. Imaginary are words, and those
Yeah,
things
I agree.
relate to things.
I agree that words exist, sir. That's trivial. I'm asking for evidence that this thing actually exists in reality, not in our minds.
Well, these words right here are evidence of something being real. If you say something's imaginary, you
Okay,
could
great.
almost imagine it.
So if I write down Santa Claus on a piece of paper, does that mean Santa Claus is real?
Yes, because if you were writing something that wasn't real, well, then what would you be talking about? Like all
An
that language right there
imagination,
discusses something.
an imagination, sir.
Like if we look at the definition of each and every single one of these words, you could come up with something. So it proves that they are inherently
No, it proves that
something.
we can imagine shit. It doesn't mean that they're real.
I would say that's incorrect. Because then the basis of this entire thing is just imagination. This entire
Okay, great.
live
So
is based off of imagination. So
if I write
can you
down
prove
on
what imagination is?
sir, if I write down on a piece of paper that God doesn't exist, does that mean it's right?
If you write down on a piece of paper that God does not exist, does that mean it's correct? Right in whose because this can become a subjective thing now as opposed to an objective thing.
Yeah, that's the problem that you're succumbing to, right? All you're saying is, look, there's a word. That means he's real. That's
Well,
dumb.
words have value. Like
No,
we're
they
speaking in
don't.
language.
They don't have value. They have meanings. They have usages. I'm sorry. They have usages. We use words as tools to describe things. They don't have value. And
Interesting.
when I say
Interesting.
God, we are describing something that does not coherently exist.
Well, what about the rest of the words? Do those exist?
Only in our minds to describe things that we think are true.
So the rest of the words only exist in our minds to describe things that we think are true. So
okay. I don't feel like having a philosophy 101 session here. Please come back when you have more knowledge.
Hey, hello.
Yeah, what do you got?
All right, yeah. Not a hey, how you doing? Let's get right to it. All right. I see you are a very, very, very stubborn of these people, so I want to treat you
Oh, no. You're not going to come up
I
here
have
and
evidence.
do
I have
that.
evidence. I
You're
have evidence.
stubborn.
I have evidence.
I'm honest, and I care about truth. That's why I'm here.
That's not being honest. You're being rude.
Being rude? How am I being rude?
You're like literally kicking people.
That's not rude. It's called being somebody who cares about being on track with the argument. See, when you go off of track with the argument, I kick you like you're doing right now.
Oh my gosh. All right, let me get to it. I will prove to you that God exists if you first prove to me that I'm not such a bad dream you're having right now.
Yeah, that's very cute to say. But in philosophy, we know that we can never have absolute certainty about anything. This is very cute, sir, but this justifies belief in Santa Claus, the Bigfoot, Tooth Fairy, all this shit too. Just because we don't know with absolute certainty that we exist doesn't mean God does.
All right, prove to me that your taste buds tell you the truth that the milk is sour.
There's no truth there. Sourness is merely a feeling or preference.
Oh, okay. I'll prove to you that God exists if you prove to me that your eyesight perceives reality.
Sir, are you reading off some stupid script from some dumb apologist?
No, I'm writing my report that I wrote in college.
Wow, you must have failed miserably.
No, because I see people like
that
you.
That is so ridiculous.
No, because I see people like you with
just
stubborn
because we can't prove that something exists doesn't mean God exists.
You can't question God, and you can't judge somebody's faith.
Yes, I fucking can. Your faith is nonsense.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You can't do that.
I just did. Your faith is nonsense.
You
have no evidence of a God. You have no evidence of God at all. Zero.
Order and design point to an intelligent mind. The order and design.
That's question begging of design. How do you know it's designed? How do you know it's designed?
Because God created it. God created the universe.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice question-begging argument, sir. But can you demonstrate that God designed it?
Bro, I am not rude to you, okay? Fool, fuck this chat. Hal, you and I are standing at the foot of Mountain Rushmore. As we're standing there, I turn to you and say, hey, isn't it incredible the way that the water dripped over the rock face? Hey, it's George Washington. Look at there. Wow. Isn't it amazing the way the water just carved out those heads on Mountain Rushmore? You don't get border and design by chance, sir. Border
Yes,
and
we do.
design
It's called physics and
purpose.
gravity. It's called atomic forces. Do you know what that is?
No,
Do you
you
know what
fucking
gravity
don't.
does?
You don't get border and design by chance, sir. You get a
We
border and
get
design
order. Sir,
through a
listen.
designer.
We get order from chaos all the time through things like gravity, right? We get things like nebula clouds that turn into planetary disks that collapse due to gravity. We don't get design. There's no evidence of design anywhere.
Yes, our universe.
How do you know the universe is designed?
Because it was designed by God.
How do you know that?
Because it was designed by God. God's our creator.
How do you know that?
I'm giving you evidence right now. I just gave you the first piece of evidence. Just hold on. Just you
You're
have a little.
presupposing this.
You got no. You're mixing up my arguments and turning them around. Actually, not arguments. I didn't mean to say, but my opinions and my opinions come out to be as facts.
Did you just say your opinions turn out to be facts?
Yes, because it's true.
Demonstrate that. Give us evidence that you're
The
correct.
universe is eternal. No, it's not. There's a Big Bang.
Sir,
So-
can you fucking partake in a conversation with me? What is the evidence that God designed us? Did God design cancer?
I just literally gave you how.
Sir, did God design cancer? Did God design herpes?
Moral absolutes. Thus, Lord of innocent children is never good.
Blah, 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 blah,
It is
blah,
always
blah,
wrong.
That's all they can do. Next. Everybody please subscribe to the YouTube. Why is this so slow? Does anybody Your attitude's disgusting? Well, religion's even worse. Look at what religion is doing to our world, to our society. It tells people that we're worthless, that we have to bow down to our masters, that we are nothing without God. That's not nice. That's very rude.
Yo,
Hey, what do you got?
uh, you're a demon. What?
That's what your mom said last night.
Alright, cool. Oh,
Hey, what do you got?
you're gonna burn in hell.
Oh no, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna burn. Oh no. Oh no. I'm gonna burn.
Hello?
How old are you?
18.
What year were you born?
200 and fuck.
Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube. Link in bio. All my debates. I got great videos up there. 202.
Háblalo, ¿todo bien o qué?
What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
¿Todo bien o qué?
What?
Can you hear me?
Bye. Have a good day. Enjoy your night. Hey, what do you got? The point is to get evidence from you guys, right? Where's your evidence of God? That doesn't mean he's a God. That doesn't mean he's God. Okay. Charles Manson said he was a God. That doesn't mean he's God. And the guy they can't hear you, so let me get the next guest.
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you guys hear him?
All right. So, first, I wanted to ask you, do you think, um, like the term God or whatever that God is known for amongst us, do you think it's a bad thing?
I don't think it's a thing, period. Do you have
Okay, so
evidence
if it
for
was
God?
a thing, would you think, like, you know what I'm saying, would you have negative feelings about it, or would you think you
I
have?
don't know. I don't know what God you're talking about. Do you have evidence for God, please?
All right, so like, all right, this is like me asking you to prove that God isn't real. Like, you can't prove that he isn't real either.
Yes, we
So, like,
can. We
no,
can
you
definitely
can't.
disprove God.
You can prove no. Okay, tell me
Depending
how.
on the God, yes. If your God is if your God knows the future, but we have free will, that's a paradox. If your God is all loving, but there's evil in the world, that's a paradox. Why is there evil if God is all good?
Because men wrote about God. That's like what they think. We don't really necessarily know, but we know for a fact that we come from
Sir,
something. We look at whatever
sir,
we come from.
let me ask you these questions. Is God
Okay.
all powerful?
I don't necessarily think God will be all powerful. I don't think God will be what we actually project
Okay.
God
Are you
as.
Christian?
No, nah. I grew
Okay,
up in a
great.
Christian home,
So
but
what's your evidence of God? What is your evidence of God?
what is your evidence he don't exist? It's a very
I don't know
it's a
what you're talking
very
about. I don't know which God you're talking about.
condescending question.
I don't know what
Prove
God
to
you're
me that
talking.
he don't
How can I
exist.
disprove something if I don't know what you're talking about?
You do know what I'm talking about. You got a whole live about it.
Yeah, because most people define their God as omniscient, omnipotent, and all these things. You seem to
Well,
not believe in them.
I will define what I think as God is the creator of things that we don't have access to create.
Okay,
So what
what's a
about that?
creator? What's a creator?
As in such is the like who's responsible for creating humans, who's responsible for
Yeah,
the
this is
universe
question begging,
existing
right?
the
You're
way
just
it is, whether
who
it's a
did it?
person
Who
or
did
not.
it? Who did it? This is you're begging the question here. Like you're presupposing there has to be somebody doing it.
I can
Why?
see that you're frustrated and
Who
you're
did
kind of coming
God?
off condescending.
Who did God? Who made God?
You not even let me fully like finish sentences before you interrupt me. So I won't continue on with this live, but I do hope that you find peace.
I'm peaceful and more peaceful than I've ever been because I'm an atheist. Because I'm an atheist. I have peace in my life. More peace than ever before. God is not peaceful. God, if it exists, is a very, very chaotic entity. I love how people think that God gives us peace, but then literally religion causes wars. Your religion, your God has caused wars. Your God in the Bible has destroyed entire cities for no reason. Please subscribe to the YouTube, linked in bio.
What's up? Good night. Good night. Yellow.
what's the reason that, why did God kill babies in the flood? What was the reason there? Why does your God command us to own slaves? What's the reason there?
Well, how do you think humans have been involved in the earth?
We are the products of billions of years of evolution.
So, do you think it's because of evolution?
We know it. It's because of evolution.
So, if it's because of evolution, where did monkeys come from?
Monkeys evolved just like every other species.
So, what was the animal before the monkey?
There was no animal before the monkey. That's a miscategorization of what evolution means. Evolution is not Pokemon. Evolution means that.
Here's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay. When you get to high school, maybe you haven't been there yet, but you'll learn about evolution, and you realize that evolution.
I was born in 2004. I'm 19.
Evolution is not. Well, that's sad because you should know what evolution means. You're old enough to know that it's not Pokemon, where you go from one to another. This is not morphing. This is not Power Rangers morphing time. No. Evolution means over many, many generations, small changes build up over time and lead to different species. That's what evolution means. And that is something we observe in the fossil record and in our DNA. There's no evidence of God at all.
But why do you not believe in him?
Because there is no evidence.
Okay, well, there is evidence that he is real due to Jesus.
Okay, what about this guy? How do you know he's God?
Jesus isn't God. Jesus is the Son of God.
Okay, how do you know that?
Have you read the Bible?
Yeah, it's nonsense. The Bible's garbage. Talking donkeys, talking snakes, walking on water, virgin births, it's all garbage. A story of fairy tales.
So you're telling me that because you don't believe in a certain thing, that it's imaginary and all of this and that?
No, it's because we can demonstrate the Bible's nonsense. It is baseless. It is based on no evidence. And from what it says, we know it's incorrect.
The Bible is based on a religion of a belief in God. God is not an imaginary thing. God is the reason why you are here.
Demonstrate that.
Okay then, the first two human beings on the earth, they were the reason why there is so many people on the earth now.
There were no first people.
So how are we a thing?
Because we evolved, sir. Do you know what evolution... we're not doing this.
Yeah, we are.
I can't debate somebody who doesn't understand basic science. Are you going to listen to what I'm going to say?
Go on.
Okay, great. Evolution is a process that occurs to species. Population split, speciate, new species generate over time, over thousands of years. The first living beings were like protocells, basic organic chemistry, compounds coming together. That's what life is. Life is a process that happens to non-living stuff. Amino acids, proteins, lipids, phosphates, these are simple organic molecules that come together naturally. These molecules can then change. They can interact with each other in certain ways, and they can yield living beings like cells, right? This process takes thousands of years, and I have an entire video about this. We know this is called abiogenesis. Very solid idea. But we are the products of billions of years of chemical changes that began on the earth itself. And there's no God required. There's no magic wizard needed. Just chemistry. Okay?
Okay. And here's what I'm trying to say. That's what you think because you're an atheist. Do you believe in Satan?
No, it's not what I think. It's it's what the evidence shows.
Okay, then what do you believe in Satan?
It doesn't exist.
So where do you think you go when you die?
The ground.
And that's it? Then your life is over?
Yeah, it's called reality. Get used to it.
So then you must have a boring life. You don't believe in God. You're a vegan.
Boring. My life is spectacular because there's no God. I'm free. I am a free person. I'm not muddied up by this notion of God or afterlife. I don't sit there expecting to go to heaven when I die like a little baby. I expect nothing, and for that I am free. I live my life. I enjoy my family and my friends. I enjoy learning. I learn about evolution. I don't just sit there and go, God did it. That's sad. That's sad to me, that you live your entire life pretending and hoping and wishing that God is going to come save you, when I am
God will
actually
save me.
living my life without these notions and actually doing things that help other people and animals. You're damn right. I love animals. And when I say I love animals, I don't just say it. I actually show it by not eating them. So
Okay.
go ahead and give us evidence for God one last time. If you don't have it, you're going to go bye-bye. Okay.
You don't think I have it, but I've been trying to explain. Bible, all of this, it's all true. You just don't believe it because
Show
you
it.
have
Show
no.
me that the Bible's true.
You just don't
Show me
believe it
the
because you don't
Bible's
have a
true.
fucking brain, lad. That's all I'm gonna say.
There's the Christian love coming out.
Yeah, I'm a Christian and I'm proud.
Oh, you're proud to insult people for no reason?
No, I'm proud to believe in God.
But you just insulted me instead of have no fucking brain, right? So the problem is
Let's be honest, am I wrong?
you pretend to be loving, but you're actually not. You're a jerk.
I'm loving to people who aren't
And more
annoying
importantly,
me.
you're a hypocrite, right? You know you don't love people. That's nonsense. You
I do
pretend
love
to love.
people.
You pretend that God is real. You're a pretender. You're a fake. You're a phony.
I'm not pretending nothing. God is
Then
real.
give
I love
evidence.
God. I
Then give
love
evidence of
everybody who
God.
comes
Then
in with
give
God.
evidence of God. Then give it evidence of God to go away.
I've been trying, but you keep on interrupting me and everything like that.
Well, try again.
Right. How many fucking times? So, God is real due to the fact that everybody who's a Christian, right? Everybody who's a Christian believes in it, believes in everything that goes on in their life.
God is real. That's all you're doing. It's all you're doing. Next. Don't you get it? You pretend you're superior as a Christian. You pretend that you know everything in the universe. I know how we got here. I'm a loving man. I have a connection with God. It's all fake and phony. It's all pretend and make believe because of your ignorance and arrogance that your ignorance gives you.
Can you prove that he's not real?
Sure. Which God do you want me to debunk?
Jesus Christ.
Sure. Is
God.
Jesus all loving?
Yes.
Then why is there evil in the world?
Because that's how it works out sometimes. Some people don't choose to take the path of God.
How old are you?
18.
What year were you born?
2005.
What month?
July.
And what's a W-2? Oh, wait, are you from America? Are you from America?
Yes.
What's
Yes.
a W-2? What's a W-2?
A W-2? Like, what do you mean? Like, what?
Next. Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Everybody please subscribe to the YouTube, link in bio. Let's... Hey, what do you got?
I mean, God is real. How can you prove the non-existence of God?
What's your evidence of God?
My evidence? The universe.
So the universe, therefore God?
Yeah, because he created it. There's design.
How do you know that?
How I know? You can see design in the universe, cuz.
Okay, give me an example of design.
The universe. What you mean?
How do you know the universe is designed?
Just look around you, bro. Like, look at the stars, bro. Those are designed.
Wow. Is cancer designed too? Is syphilis designed? Is starving children designed? Genetic
Whoa.
disorders? Is that all designed?
Theoretically, it could be, but it isn't.
Oh, so there are things in the universe that are not designed. So why does the universe need design if
I never
those
said
things are
that.
not designed?
Those are human made, Bucko.
Cancer is human made. Who made cancer?
Human cells.
Who made human cells?
Made human cells? The universe. Or I guess evolution.
Oh, so you agree that there are things in the universe that do not need design, like humans. We don't need design. Why do stars need design?
Because
I
where'd
can't
they
take
come
this
from?
fucking eating, bro. I can't take this shit.
Did they just pop out of nowhere?
I can't take that. That annoys the fuck out of me when you're eating. Especially when you're fucking talking to somebody.
Hey,
what do you got?
hello, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I joined just now because you said cancer was not man-made. Are you familiar with John D. Rockefeller?
Sir, I don't have time for these fucking stupid conspiracies.
Conspiracy?
Cancer is not human made. Cancer is a genetic mutation that we do not control. Now, what is your evidence that God exists?
Well, what is your evidence that God doesn't exist? Because I keep hearing you talk
I
about the
don't know what
Bible.
God you believe in to disprove it. What God,
God
do
is
you
energy.
believe?
God is the source, the creator.
What does that mean? What does a source mean? A
The
source of
source, the
garbage? A
beginning,
source of shit? A source of boogers?
source of all energy and creation, right? It's the creator. Right, you keep talking
Why?
about the
Why do you need
Bible.
a
Listen,
creator?
listen.
What does a creator mean? What does it do?
Come on, you're smart. You know what a creator is.
No, I don't.
You talk about
What's
the
a
Bible,
creator?
right? I just want to point something out for the Bible. The Bible wasn't meant to be taken literal, just so you're aware, right? Like, for
Great. So
example,
where's your evidence of God now?
I'm trying to explain something to you. So, like in the Bible, right, where they say there was 1,000 men fed with bread, right? Do you think that meant that 1,000 men were fed with one loaf of bread? No, feeding is wisdom. Right, 1,000 men were fed wisdom.
Okay, so
Right, they're parables in the Bible.
maybe
It's not
God's a
meant to be
parable.
taken
Maybe
literal.
God's a metaphor.
No, God is the creator.
Oh,
Right?
so everything that
If you even look,
you want, so sir, everything you want to be a metaphor is a metaphor, but everything you want to be real is not.
what? What are you talking about?
Did God walk on water?
It's a parable. What
Okay.
Jesus is? And did it say
Was
God
Was
walked on water?
Jesus born of
It
a
was
virgin?
Jesus walking on water, and
So you think
it
Jesus walked
wasn't
on water?
literally. It was not literally walking on water. Water is a symbol for truth. It means Jesus walked within his truth.
How did you make that connection?
The chakra systems. Are you familiar with the chakra systems?
The chakra systems.
Yes or no?
Oh
Are you familiar with
no.
the chakra
Where in
systems?
the Bible is the chakras?
It's not. It's the Bible wasn't meant to be taken literal. The Bible is a
Where's the
tool.
chakras in the Bible?
The chakra's not in the Bible. Chakra's from
Oh, great. So then why did
Buddha,
you say that it refers
because
to the chakras?
I'm not a Christian, right? I'm not religious. I just understand that there's
All
truth in
right.
it.
I can't. I can't. No. I just no. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't. I can't.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yep, what do you got?
I don't think that you can neither prove nor disprove the evidence of God because the evidence is in the faith and the things that he does in your life.
So you're saying faith is evidence?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
It may not be evidence to you because you're a non-believer, but to other believers and the things that he does in
Okay,
our
great,
life.
great, great. So if I have faith that God doesn't exist, is that evidence that God doesn't exist?
Prove that God doesn't exist.
I have faith in it.
Okay, but that's not the same thing because you are not you have to have faith in something, like someone.
Yeah, I have faith that God doesn't exist. And you said that's evidence. So why is it
Okay.
not evidence all of a sudden?
Do you believe in evolution?
No, why are you pivoting?
I'm not pivoting. I'm asking you a
You
question.
said faith is evidence, and then I used faith against God, and I think it's not evidence.
For believers in Christ, faith is evidence.
I'm a believer too that God doesn't exist.
Okay, why do you believe God doesn't exist?
Because I have faith. Isn't that evidence to you?
Okay, but I can tell you why I have faith.
Why? No. Tell me what reasons give more credence towards God existing versus not.
What do you mean? Reasons?
Where's the evidence that God exists? And if your only thing is faith, that is not evidence. By definition, faith is not evidence. It's just a belief. I can have faith in anything. I can have faith in Snuffleupagus. I can have faith in Jack and the Beanstalk. It doesn't make it real.
It's belief.
Yeah, and your belief is bad.
I know that it's not evidence. I know that, but what I'm saying to other believers,
so how do you know
faith is
God
evidence.
exists?
Why do I believe that he exists?
No, how do you know God exists?
Because I believe, because I have faith, and I've seen that he has done things in my life.
What did he do in your life?
So I was in really bad situations when I was younger, and I believe that he helped to bring me out of it.
No, ma'am. How do you know that God helped you?
Because I prayed and things changed and he did work in my life.
How do you know that when you prayed, it was God that saved you and not something else?
What do you think saved me then?
I don't know your situation, ma'am.
Okay, but it wasn't anybody else.
How do you know that?
I don't know how to explain it to you if you're not a believer. What I want to know.
How do you expect to convince anybody, right? How do you expect to convince anybody what you're saying? Well, he saved me, but I don't know how.
I don't expect to convince anybody. I don't even expect to convince you.
How do you expect anybody to be convinced by this shit?
Okay, but I don't expect to convince you nor anybody. That's not my point here.
Okay,
My
then
point
have a
is
good day.
you.
Bye-bye. Enjoy your day.
Monk.
Hello?
It's Mercedes. You love me, don't do that.
All right, what?
So give me evidence that the Christian God doesn't exist.
Is God all good?
Absolutely.
Then why is there evil?
Because God gave us dominion over land. He created us with free will.
Who has dominion over people?
I didn't hear what you said. What'd you say?
Who has dominion over people?
God necessarily. But what do you mean by dominion over
Great.
people?
So then why did God make us evil? Why didn't he just make us good from the get-go?
I just told you, God gave us dominion over land. God created us with free will. We do evil. There's evil because of us.
But in order to do evil, we need to be evil-natured. We'd have to have some nature in us, some essence about us that tells us we can do evil in the first place, right? For example, does God have free will?
Absolutely.
Does God ever do bad?
Nope.
Right, because he doesn't have. I guess he has a good nature, right? God is a good-natured being. Great.
Yes,
so why couldn't God? So God could have given us a good nature such that we use our free will to never do bad.
God did give us a good nature.
So then why do we do bad?
Because we're evil.
And who gave us an evil nature?
I say we developed it ourselves.
How do we develop our own nature? That doesn't make any sense.
So
I don't create myself.
God created humans. He gave us dominion over land. He created us with free will. And how we act towards each other depicts what is good and evil.
Yeah, but free will doesn't solve this because you just accepted that God has free will and never does bad. So clearly God could have made a world where we all have free will and we never do evil.
So
We
what you're
never choose
saying
to do
is,
evil.
yeah, so you wouldn't be completely free then. You would be limited to not being able to do evil.
So that means by definition, God isn't free because he's
How
forced to do
not?
good.
He's not forced to do good. He's just an all good God. That's the definition of God. He's a
Great.
loving
So then
God.
clearly we could have free will just like God and be good such that we never do evil and we still have free will.
Yeah, so then God would just be creating another God, not human beings.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
I wouldn't say there's not anything wrong with that, but if we were all walking this earth and we were all gods, how God is,
So you agree?
hold
Wait,
on, we
so
wouldn't
then
have
you
the
agree?
intimate
So then you
relationships that we have
agree?
with each other.
So then you agree that evil is not necessary?
Absolutely, evil is not necessary. Evil should never happen.
So you're saying God chose? So God could have made a world where we have no evil, but He chose to make one where there is evil.
No, God couldn't create a world where there's no evil. You're putting words in my
now
mouth.
evil is necessary. So now it is necessary.
I'm saying that no evil is not necessary, but it is. Like, and God, like, you're asking, like, because you want God to create us like Him, which is to be all good, to be all knowing, right? You want God to create us like gods, and that's like, that's impossible. It's illogical.
No, see, is there evil in heaven?
No.
Okay, are angels omniscient?
Are they everywhere? I believe so.
No, are they omniscient? Do they know everything like God?
Oh, sorry, I misheard you. Yes, they know everything.
Great. So clear. So by your own concession, God could have made heaven where they're like gods, but they're called angels instead in heaven.
They
God
would
could
have
have
just
made us
all
there
been.
from the beginning.
It wouldn't be human beings. We'd be angels.
And what's wrong with that? Isn't that a better world?
Okay, so in my opinion, you might have a different opinion. I say no because I enjoy having the intimate relationships that I have with the people that I love, and you wouldn't do that in heaven.
We don't have a relationship with God in heaven?
We don't have an intimate relationship with God in heaven. Like, okay, not intimate, but like, I don't want to get you banned, so I don't want to say the words, but like a sexual relationship with God, I should say. And that's something that I enjoy as a human being.
Mercedes. Oh, Mercedes, you're funny.
No, seriously, that's a beautiful gift that God gave us, and it's something that I enjoy. But I know that
So,
angels don't do that, and that
so
doesn't
you
go on.
think so you think angels are doing it with God up there?
No, absolutely. We know that there is no sexual things going on in heaven.
Great. So why is that even relevant, right? All I'm trying to tell you is that God could have made us live in heaven from the beginning. He never had to make earth. He never had to make this hellhole.
See, I don't think it's a hellhole. Like, you're looking at all the bad, but there's also so much good. I mean, look at the relationships that we build. Look at the things that we can go out and enjoy.
Right, but we can have all
Listen, like,
that. But
I
we
agree.
could have had all that.
Go
Right, but
ahead.
we could have had all that without the evil.
Then it would be that way. Mike, why do we do evil? Why do you do evil? Why do I do evil?
Because of our brain chemistry, right? Evil is not a real ontological thing beyond outside the brain, as far as I'm concerned. But from doing an internal critique of your position, I would say that evil is a product of free will.
Thank
But
you.
the problem is that free will doesn't solve the problem of evil, because God could have actualized a world where we have free will and never choose to do evil with it.
No, he can't. He couldn't.
Why not? Where's the contradiction there?
Because without good, there's no evil. Okay, without evil, there's no good. So if there's good, there's evil, right? The opposite of good is evil. So if I'm not doing something good, it's evil. right? And if
Yeah,
I
but
have, no, listen to me. If I have a free will and a free choice, I can choose not to do good.
yeah, but you're not understanding. God could have made a world where we have free will and always choose to do the good thing with it.
Explain how he would do that.
You believe this already with God. You believe that God always chooses the good thing, right?
Absolutely, but I do not believe that
Great.
hold on. I do not believe that God could create us with free will and only choose to do good.
Why
You're not
not?
understanding because, okay, let me try to explain it to you better because you're not understanding what I'm trying to say. Without good, there's evil, okay? Without evil, there is good. If I do not choose to do good, I will do evil. Hold on. If God created me with free will, right? Free will means I have the choice to choose anything. Anything. The opposite of anything. Okay? If I was created that way, I could choose to do opposite from good.
Okay, I never said you couldn't.
You're giving me the advantage of saying that we have free will, so then understand that I have the choice to do the opposite of good.
Yeah, but you keep neglecting the elephant in the room, which is God could have given us free will, but also made us good, such
No.
that we never did evil with our free will, like God.
Demonstrate how he would do that.
You already believe this with God. You think God has free will, but never chooses evil with it.
Because that's not in his nature.
Exactly. So why didn't God give us that same nature?
He did. Adam and
So
Eve
then
had
by
that nature.
definition, we couldn't choose evil.
No, but they had a free will. So Adam and Eve, hold on, listen. Adam and Eve were created with not being able to sin, okay? They've never sinned before they ate from the tree. They never sinned. When they ate from the tree, they knew good and evil. You know, they knew it all. They sinned against God. They chose to
Yeah,
do
they
that.
don't.
They
I
had
don't
free
need you to
will.
preach your
So
nonsense, right? I'm asking you a simple question. Why couldn't God made us good from the get-go?
he did. Was Adam and Eve created good? You're giving me the advantage, so I'm asking
Yeah,
you, was
in
Adam and
fact,
Eve created good?
that's actually a good point. Was Adam and Eve perfect?
I'm asking you. I can tell you if you don't know.
According to the Bible, yeah, right? They were perfect.
They were created perfect, yes.
Great. How can perfect beings make mistakes?
Because they have free will. They have a free choice to choose to do opposite.
Okay, great. Let me do this then. Is God perfect?
Absolutely.
Does God have free will?
He can do whatever he wants, yes.
Does he ever make mistakes?
Never.
Great. So why do we make mistakes if we're perfect?
Because for one, Mike, we are humans, okay? We are not God. Listen, no, just listen. God is all powerful, okay? God is, if you're giving me, man, you got some bad stuff coming from you, Mike. For real, like, God forgives you, man. Just know that. Regardless, God forgives you. He
Oh,
loves
thank
you.
you. At least I'm not his slave, like Leviticus says I could be a slave. I don't want that to happen to me.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that if you want, because you don't know anything that you're talking about. You guys love to make claims and don't know crap
Okay,
about it.
great. So why does God allow us to own slaves and beat them in Leviticus?
Sure. So when we're reading Leviticus, we understand that they were in war. Okay. Let me just say that I'm gonna say slavery. I don't want to get you banned. Slavery has been a thing for long time ago. Okay, that's what the Egyptians did. They had slaves. Okay, but let me just tell you, we have free will. I'm gonna give you give me that point. We have free will. We can choose to do what we want to do. God gave us dominion over land. We treat each other
No,
how
no,
we
no,
want.
no. You're not going to preach on my life, right?
I
You're
want you to
God.
understand because they're not
So
gonna.
in Exodus 21:7, your God specifically allows people to be sold as ex-slaves, sex slaves. Why? Why does your God allow that?
Read that. Can you read that verse for me?
Yes, it says if you can sell your daughter as a sex slave in Exodus 21:7.
But you're not reading the verse for me. I want you to read Exodus 21:7.
Sure, no problem.
Try to do the King James version because I know
Okay,
you're looking
great.
it up
So here it
online.
is. Ready? When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go free as male slaves do. if she displeases her master, he shall let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to foreign people. So she has
Okay,
to
so
please the man, or she'll get sold off.
where does it say she has to please a man or she'll get sold off? Because it never says anything about a sex slave, Mike.
If she displeases her master, he shall let her be redeemed.
Okay,
He
so
has
what
no
does that
right
mean?
to sell her to for. So if she doesn't like him, he has to bring her back.
Okay, you're saying that I'm asking you to tell me where it says she has to please him, and you're not
In
giving me
what
that.
context is that? Wait. First of all, do you agree that it's wrong to own somebody as a slave ever in any
Absolutely.
context?
Absolutely.
Great. So then why is there? So then you agree that your God was wrong in this verse by saying that we can do this.
It's not that God was saying that we can. You don't understand the context behind it. I would love to give it to you if you're willing to listen.
I'm all ears.
Okay, great. So, the fathers, I should say, they were poor. They were either very poor, couldn't provide for their family. I think it also says like on the brimstone of starvation. So they sold their daughters to higher, like people in like higher class than them, so their daughters would have a better life. So that they would grow up with food, so on and so forth.
As slaves? As slaves? That's a better life to you? A slave is a better life.
It's a
Even
servant.
for
It's not a slave. It's a servant.
it says slave.
But it
It
also says
says
servant.
slave.
It also says
They're
servant.
sold. They're
If
sold.
you look up,
They're
okay, so look.
property.
All right,
They're
I'm gonna speak.
property. They're property. You know what property means
Yeah.
means? You're
Mm-hmm.
being sold. It's a object. You're an object.
Okay.
Yeah, your Bible is bad.
But no, it's not condoning it.
Your
I
God did.
disagree. I say it's not condoning it. I say that we have free will. God knows this, so God set up regulations. It's regulations,
You're
Mike.
just yapping. You're just yapping at this point, right? Like, I'm sorry, Mercedes, but I'm sorry, but this doesn't justify slavery to me.
I
You
agree.
know?
Slavery is not justified. I agree with you.
So then why does your God allow it?
He doesn't. He actually protected. No, listen to me. He protected the slaves.
Yeah, what he said that you can beat them. Your God said that you can beat a slave as long as they don't die.
Okay,
That's
so
protection? Is that protection to you?
God also says, God also says that if you hit your slave and you hurt their eye or their tooth, or you leave a mark on them or a bruise on them or a burn on them or a wound on them, that you should receive the same thing, and that you lose that slave. So if I would hit my slave,
How about
hold
not
on.
beat them in the first place?
Hold on. If I'm beating my slave, Mike, I'm gonna leave marks on them. I'm gonna lose that slave, right? And that was a big thing to lose back in the day.
What if you hit them? What if you don't leave a mark? Is that okay?
I don't know.
What?
I'd say I say
Oh
it's.
my God! What in the world? I'm flabbergasted. This is the moral authority of the universe. the author of morality. Yeah, you could beat a slave. Yeah, no problem. Sell your daughter. Yeah, no problem. All right, guys, I can't do this anymore. I gotta go.